There we go. Hello. I forgot to actually turn up my microphone volume. Good evening. Thank you so much for the pad, and also thank you so much for the resub. One more month. One more month, and then it's a full 2 years. That is crazy. That is crazy to me. That is absolutely unbelievable. It's like a little over a month, and it's gonna be Christmas, and then a little more. It's gonna be 2 years since I started streaming. That is crazy. Unbelievable. Fascinating. But hello, good evening. It is already Wednesday. Fuck yeah, I'm so happy it is Wednesday already. It just means 2 more days and then it's a weekend. And the weekend means I get to play Persona 5. Also some other things, but mostly it's like, weekend, Persona. I hope you're doing well. It is cold as hell in my room. I do not know why. Good evening! Cute tea time. That is a cute name. Oh, I like it. Flowers, yes. More flowers. More flowers. Last time we were asked a bunch of times if we wanted to play piano, and we don't really want to play piano, but now we found out that one of our MT partners is gonna be most likely the person who is going to play the part of the Mary. So I was like, we could play piano while she sings. Well, I'm looking forward to whatever we get in either case. I just want to say it again. If these games had polyamory, they wouldn't be half as long. I'm just saying. But we're gonna appreciate them the way they are anyway. I mean, they already gave us a bunch of gay girls in a Christian Catholic school. Maybe polyamory was a little too far out there. Good evening, it's 11 in the morning. It's always evening somewhere in the world. And like, in my case, it is evening, so it's fine. Anyway, where's my controller? There it is. Let's go. Your stepmother does not control you, I tell myself. Yeah, we're in the same time zone. It is also 7 PM where I am. That's a little time on the left, actually. The timer that I'm not fully happy with color-wise, but I cannot figure out how to change this color, so it's just bright white. Choir will sing their hymns, and I, the person who will play piano as the Virgin Mary sings Tota Pulchra as have been desperately trying to escape the shadow of my stepmother. She closes in on me. How's my day been? It's alright. It's alright. I've been thinking like, oh, should I make those mozzarella sticks today? They're literally the last thing I have like at home to eat. I'm like, means I have to go grocery shopping again. I usually only go grocery shopping like once a week on Saturdays. Because I hate going shopping in the evening because it's already dark out and everything. So it's like, do I really want to eat the last thing I have at home? What do I do tomorrow? So I'm like, But I ate them anyway because I was hungry, and eating is good. You should eat several meals a day. How's your day been? On a slightly sadder note, I'm trying very hard to find a new job IRL, so that's not been going as well. I'm trying to stay positive about it. What do you do tomorrow? That's a bridge, but when we get to it. Yeah. I think tomorrow I'm just gonna like bum some food from my parents. Like just drive past my parents and be like, "Hi, you guys got dinner? Can I have some?" That's probably what I'll be doing tomorrow, actually. Just say hi and tell them, hi, I still exist. Don't be mad that I don't come visit as often. That kind of stuff. You're just gonna evaporate? Oh, why? Is it warm where you are? Is the weather? Because here it's cold as all hell. Like my heater's at 3. My heating is at 3 and I'm freezing. Like I'm wearing what are they called? Like fluffy warm socks and everything and a jacket, and I'm bundled in a blanket and it's still like, whoo, cold. When my fingers press down on the keys, the sound it makes is absorbed by the cathedral and echoes back from unexpected places. When my ears pick up on this, I adjust my touch on the keyboard. In this world of just me and the piano, there's nothing impure. With the feast drawing near, the situation calls for focus, and the music was passed on to me that very day. By the next day, I'm able to play at the same level as the girl who was supposed to play. With things going this way. Feeling a hand on my shoulder, I look up in surprise. You're just gonna say back into the original form. I ignore her words, exhale, and put some distance between myself and the piano. I try my best not to look at it. I feel sorry for Sue here though, because she is genuinely a really, really good piano player, but, you know, with the trauma of her stepmother hanging over her, she cannot find fun in it anymore, despite being so good at it. Seeing her clasp her hands together and smile innocently, I smile back. At first, people didn't really take it very well. Probably because Hokama, the person who was supposed to play, was well liked, I felt some resentment from the choir members, although they tried not to show it. However, okay, yeah, she is the second in like the what's the word for the school? God damn it. The student council. But still, oh no. Who's gonna like be mad at you for eating in here? Here with the president of the club, Komikado-senpai, and none other than the injured Hokama, who's been kind enough to instruct me with no hard feelings, I feel my situation has changed a lot. Dad and the person inviting me has also accomplished a lot. Even though she hasn't been a member of the club for long, she's proved her worth, and her thoughtful personality has quickly gained her the trust of her fellow members. Why are you so red? Why are you blushing? She links her arm with mine. As our tea partner, my social standing seems to have risen as well. I want to leave this place as soon as possible. See my tea partner looking up at me. I once again close the distance between myself and a piano where my stepmother waits. The day she said she wanted me to teach her piano was the first day of practice. I've always been a student and cannot imagine myself teaching someone, and so when she asked me, I didn't understand her request. After that, I don't remember well, but I think I turned her down at first. But she pushed harder than I expected. Little by little, I started teaching her after choir practice or during our breaks. Oh, she's teaching Nika how to play the piano, okay. Ooh! She nestles in close, leaning her upper body against mine and nods. The song I'm teaching her is Tota Pulchra S. She'll probably be chosen as the Virgin Mary, so I don't want to waste my piano instruction on another song. She's so blushy. Reading from the beginning of the piece from the score sheet, I place one hand on the keyboard. The other hand...
教えるのに不自由だから手を離してもらえると嬉しいんだけどダメよ
She refuses point blank. She pulls my hand hard, drawing my arm near. My arm touches her stomach and chest, and I can't stop my cheeks from turning red.
どうしたのスオさんお顔が真っ赤よ
Your face is bright red as well. What do you want from me?
いや別に
I don't think that she's knowingly being mean. She's just happy. Perhaps because I meditated in that disagreement.
それじゃ今教えたところを弾いてみるね
I don't think Rika is sitting though. Actually. If you look at the CG, it doesn't seem like she's sitting. Like she's way too tall. Like she's normally smaller than Sue, so she must be standing and like crouching right now. But how is she supposed to learn that way? I press the keyboard with my free hands. The tingling sensation I get before I start to play is the only thing I like about playing. The cool, crisp air surrounds me. I exhale as if to cast the heat from my body.
でもどうして
Why doesn't my stepmother's shadow appear, I wonder? Whenever I practice by myself, I feel her, recall her scent, but now that I'm teaching Rika...
何いやちゃんと見ているかなと思って
Ah.
大丈夫片時も目をそらしたりなんかしないわ
I feel my arm grow even warmer in her grip. The reason my stepmother doesn't appear must be because I'm teaching, I think, as I touch the keys. Ooh!
どうやって弾くのか直接感じたいの
Hello? She murmurs in my ear. When I try to turn to look at her face.
弾かないのだってこうして弾いたことはないから
She's really laying it on thick. Hello? My embarrassment wins out. I cannot look at her. I simply cannot believe that her soft, slender fingers are touching my hand. If things continue like this, I might lose it. My body heat rises unbearably high, feeling as though it will spill from my mouth.
リッカさん手を
邪魔してしまったかな
A cold voice says that my feverishness disperses.
なゆりさん見学に来たのね
Could you just go in and marry you? Yeah! How do you say that? Pre-matrimonial hand-holding.
ええきちんとやっているかどうか見に来たんだ
Yeah, we're practicing how to hold hands. In a panic, I try to pull my hand back, but she won't let me. Am I interrupting something?
スオさんからピアノの練習の手ほどきを受けているのこうして手を合わせてやった方が覚えがいいんだって
I didn't say that. She strokes the palm of my hand with her fingertips as if showing off that we're holding hands.
そうか指導なら仕方がないね
ええ
I'm gonna rewrite this great game script and just change it so everyone's saying everyone fuck this.
また伺うことにするよ
I watch as she takes a step back, then turns on her heel. I can't say anything. I cannot even begin to imagine what I would say.
明日は聖母役の発表があるそうよ
She calls out cheerfully to Mayuri as she's leaving. As she calls, I can feel her breath and smell her scent from beside me.
まゆりさん
But her words only give me an inexplicable sense of loneliness, like a festival being held far, far away. It is a great story. It is. I am not ready for the inevitable heartbreak that's gonna follow at some point, though. Like, not even trying to spoil anything here, but we cannot date both of them. The game is rigged. What's the point? She says. All students from all classes, as well as all the teachers, have gathered in the cathedral. I'm saved by the buzzing around us, as it seems no one around us has heard Yaigaki's comment.
ちょっと聞こえてしまうかもしれないでしょ別に構わないだろうここにいる全員が分かっていることじゃないか
I mean, how do they choose the
聖母役はその年の1年の級長が務める
Oh!
何もいちいち発表会を気取らなくてもね聖母祭まで期日が迫ってきているから盛り上げるためもあるのよきっと
I guess, she mumbles and turns her cold gaze toward the podium. I look at the profiles of my amitié partners. Rika's cheeks are pink with nervous excitement, while Mayuri, like Yaigaki, is facing forward with a somewhat cold gaze.
聖母祭で2人と学院内を一緒に回って。
I pray that my amitié partners go back to how they were before. If I successfully play the prayer hymn Tota Pulchra est, then I'm sure things will go back to normal. I believe this.
ほう
No, I don't.
他の美人の副会長のお出ましだ。さすがに絵になるね。
Mikado's at the podium reciting the significance of the Feast of the Assumption. Yaigaki appears to be listening intently as she smiles her mean cat smile, but I don't hear a word of it. 1 toward the counter. Fanfiction of this where the girls accidentally reinvent polyamory. Exactly. Actually, I think after today's stream, I might peruse AO3 to see if anyone has written for this series. Why didn't I think of that sooner? Ah, I know why. Because I didn't want to accidentally spoil myself on plot points that might only happen in the very last game. Yeah, I don't want... no spoiling the plot. I read a book recently, like the first novel in a... I don't know, it has 10 plus volumes out right now, and they just started coming out with them in English. And I read the very first series, and then I already read like 2 separate fan fictions that were really fucking long. And you know, they said in the beginning like, oh, this includes like plot points that only happen at around volume 10. Spoilers, be aware. And I read them anyway, and now I'm like, ah. Whenever they actually properly come out with volume 10, it's gonna be like, I don't know, maybe 3 years or something. I'm gonna sit there like, yeah. Was this the original plot, or was this what I read in the fanfic? Fuck. You read a book recently, stop lying and how VTubers are literate. Oh, I'm sorry.
What do those words mean? I can't breathe.
When visual novels have 20 endings, oh, I don't like that either. Like, I'm good when it's like, I don't know, a true ending, maybe a good ending where it's like some things are okay, but you don't properly fulfill everything. So it's like the story ends, but we're not completely there. There would have been something you could have done better. That was not a proper English sentence, but you know what I mean, hopefully. I'm not a big fan of bad ends in general, though, because most of the time either they're like very cheaply written, it's just to pad out the story a little bit, be like, ooh, you need to collect our 15 bad endings. But overall, you don't have time for all 20, half of them are bad. Yeah, exactly. That's what I hate when it's like, if it's a generally well-written bad ending, okay, but if it's just a cheap like 2-liner where it's just like, ooh, you went down the wrong street and someone stabbed you, but you couldn't see who it was, dun dun. Why bother? Good evening. Hi. How you doing? You play video games for good again? Exactly. Dun, you forgot to save, so go back and read 3 hours of the same dialogue. Yes, that is what I don't like. I'm also the type of person to read visual novels with a guide, though. Like, unless the game is like, I don't know, came out yesterday and there's no one else who's played it yet and I have to try myself, but you know, usually someone else will have played it before. And someone else has already made a point of like, okay, go here, make a save there so you can reload, blah blah blah. That's what I do. That's what I do, because like I do not have time. You're doing fine? That's good to hear. Yum. The only thing which one was it? Planet, actually. In regards to, separate routes and you read for like 40 hours. it took me... I had watched a Planet anime years ago. You know, one of those classics you just watch kind of thing. I really loved Planet. It still does make me emotional. If I watch those episodes again, I will be crying, I know that. And it... And when I read the visual novel for it, I was so surprised by some of the differences, because Planet is generally one of those where for some roots I actually like how the anime handled it better than the original game, because the anime was like, okay, all of the girls interact all the time, because they still went with like Nagisa's route in the anime as well, because that's the game that also got a complete continuation, blah blah blah. They still let all of the girls interact with them, which is nice. And I know I always say this about Clannad, but one girl in Clannad, in the original game, when you do her route, you do not interact with any of the other girls, because none of the other girls know her and she doesn't get to know them either. But in the anime, she was put in there, like actually making friends with the other girls as well, and like, that was nice. That was nicer than the original game, because I really liked her. She was one of my favorites. So sometimes in an anime where they're not completely sure how to handle different routes can make it better. Most of the time they do struggle though, because it's like, shit, fuck, we don't know who to choose as a true route, so we're just gonna punch them all together. And he's kind of, your main character is kind of flirting with everyone all the time. You're like, yes. Could be solved with more polyamory, but it's just my 2 cents. Death End Request has 26 death endings. They give you good equipment you can save in the end parts of the game. Oh, okay. But, oh my god, 26 death endings. Ooh, that's more bad endings than I would be willing to get, I think. Find all the fun and gruesome ways to die types. Yeah, that's fair. I think the one game I would be interested in actually getting every single version, and it has a lot, is the original English language one, The Letter, that is out on Steam, which is where I've seen a completed flowchart for that game, and that one's crazy, because it's like, depending on if you choose, I don't know, option whatever in chapter 1, there might be a slightly different version of the same scene in chapter 16. I don't know if it's actually 16 chapters, but like really, really far along. And they made it so you can jump to specific parts in the flowchart and then, you know, change what you chose there, and then go back to what point you were, but the game then goes back to be like, okay, wait, you chose this one, so now you get a different scene. Which is, flowcharts in that case are very good. I still have to play that game, but it's so fucking long. It's so long. It's so good. From everything I've seen of it, it's really good. It's not a game I would ever play on stream though, because getting that thing to 100%, no. No, if I can read for myself, okay. If I have to listen to, like, it's voiced as well, so it's not like I'd have to read it all out, but it's so long having to listen to people talk, right? It takes so much longer. Maybe one day I'll read it. As the announcement draws near, my heart begins to race, beating so loudly that it's like an alarm that drowns out everything else. Mikado exits the stage, and replacing her comes a nun, ascending to the podium with clacking footsteps. It is Sister Basquiat. Who else? Well, definitely funny as hell, it was a fish. Oh no. Sister Basquiat speaks with a tense face. She goes on to discuss the significance of the feast from a different angle, and once she finishes this preamble, she changes the topic with a well done. Scene change. Classic. I feel guilty somehow. The air in the room feels thick as jelly, and I let out a small sigh. The announcement made in a crisp morning air, and Sister Basquiat said the name. Silence reverberated for just a moment before the clamor broke out, along with the required applause from the teacher's side. Then, like a contagion, the applause spread to the students. Among our confused classmates, Yaegaki was the only one grinning, saying what a great twist this was. No.
それにしても驚きだよね。私的にも驚いたよ。だって噂じゃ聖母役は1年生の級長が通例で行っていたって言うじゃない？
I'm not. Ichigo puts her hands on her hand and looks to the girl who will play the Virgin Mary, who's surrounded by a wall of people.
まさかユリが選ばれるなんてね。
Ha 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 ha! That's right. The name Sister Basquiat announced was Mayuri Kosaka. The moment Sister Basquiat called her name, Mayuri's eyes widened and she appeared to be at a loss for words. Then I looked to Dika beside me. What, beside to me?
大丈夫、スオちゃん。
Ringo shakes me by the shoulder and I nod. Mayuri is surrounded by a wall of people, while in contrast, Dika is alone, perhaps because no one knows what to say to her.
私が声をかけなくちゃ。
I walk over toward Dika to say something. Sensing me, Dika raises her head and looks at me with a tense expression, and bravely says good morning. I try to respond, but I can't think what to say. I'd rushed over to talk to her, but there's no point in trying to encourage her. If I were in her shoes, that would be the last thing I'd want to hear. Sympathy? That's not good either. I'd want the ground to swallow me up, so...
ごめんなさい。一緒に
You forgot half the names.
歌えると思ったのだけれど。
Ringo Nichigo. She forces the words out. The line is so like her and it tugs at my heartstrings.
そんなことない。
No, yeah, that's my name. You remember you my sir? Yes. In fact, I took them out too early. Like, you know that on the packaging it said to preheat your oven to 200 degrees, but that's only if you do the... Oh god, I don't know what that setting is called. The like... Yeah, whatever. Anyway, I do not ever preheat my oven, so I just put them in there and was like, okay, it's gonna take like 8 minutes according to the box. I didn't preheat my oven, let's just put it in there for 12 minutes, and then I took them out and they weren't really done yet, but I didn't want to put them in again, so I just ate them. They were alright. Could have been worse. The cheese was very hard. I don't know. They weren't completely ready yet, but it's okay. I'm gonna survive, I think. I didn't forget about them. But I realized that in the end that would probably just hurt her. That's why I cannot say anything. Then again, I get the feeling that saying nothing would be just as hurtful. The sound of an opening door, followed by the sound of Sister Basquiat's voice announcing the start of class, makes the words I was about to force out disappear into the ether. Would a 12th century peasant die if they ate one of the mozzarella sticks? No. No. I mean, a 12th century peasant would survive a lot of things. Like not for very long, all in all. Like, they didn't have very long life expectancy, but they were hardcore. Extremely sleepy and sure what to do myself, but you're here. That is good. You can now see girls' friendships break apart, probably, most likely. We're currently in the uh-oh phase of this game, I think. I fail every time I try to talk to her during breaks. At last it's time for choir practice, a place where I can finally talk to her. As I play the song I will perform at the Feast of the Assumption. Why didn't I think of this? I pretend to be fully focused on playing the piano as Komikado smiles and comes over to me with her. Right, she's the Virgin Mary, so...
今日から一緒に練習する高坂まゆりさんよ。
She bows her head politely to me as though we're complete strangers. Behind her, Dika cuts a lonely figure. My concentration broken, I'm overcome by a disgusting sensation like a wet hand touching my back and stand from my seat. You have a lot of thoughts about that. Oh. You're free to share. We also appreciate inappropriate commentary sometimes, depending on what it is. You know what I don't understand? They already had to quickly find someone to replace the one who was supposed to play piano because she got hurt. They choose one person to play the Virgin Mary, but they don't like think of, oh, what if she gets sick on that day? You should always have at least one person who also knows how to act, who has practiced, blah blah blah. So I'm like, maybe have someone else practice as well. You never know what happens. And I say this because when I was in the acting club, like theater in my school, I was the secondary role for 3 separate characters. Like I had my own 2 roles and then, wait, no, 2 other characters. And we would have had a problem if both of them had been on the stage, like if both of them had gotten sick because they are on stage at the same time and I was the only person for them. It's like, okay, what if they had gotten sick? And I had to play both of them. That would have been trouble and no one thought about that, so... Have at least one person, if not 2, in case something goes wrong, in case someone gets sick. I'm just saying. It's better to be prepared. Kind of inappropriate, it's a hella incendiary topic. Oh, okay. Eggs and mustard sauce. I mean, if it's good for you, that's great. I'm not gonna comment on that, because I like neither eggs nor mustard. Contingency plans are frustrating. The eyes of my stepmother peer out at me from between the keys, and the eyes of my 2 métier partners shake me to the core.
大丈夫？顔色が悪いわ。
Yeah, I'm this close to a mental breakdown. The vice president of the Council of Nicaea murmurs something and rushes to my side. Then she comes over too, walking slowly.
ダメよ。座っていた方がいい。
None of it reaches my
彼女よ
ears.
りも
However,
今はスオさんの方があの人のように見える。
what little is worth, I do not like mustard either. Could die for the mustard sauce though. Oh, I see. Oh, I have to admit though, there was a mushroom sauce I had once where I genuinely liked it, and I hate mushrooms, any kind of mushrooms. But the one mushroom sauce was great as well. Sometimes things can be good when in a different form, I guess. I would love to like eggs, actually. Because eggs are something you can really quickly make for yourself if you're hungry, but I cannot. Also, I cannot like have them. My body will reject them as well, so it's like it's one of those things where I don't like them and I can't eat them anyway, so nothing's lost. Clearly hear her whisper. See who? What does she look like? The Virgin Mary? So here's where you are. I called her as she gazes blankly out at the night sky and she turns around slowly.
部屋で待っていたのだけど、戻ってこないから探しちゃった。
There's something else. I'm gonna come over just to have some food, okay? Wait for me, it's gonna be like 8 hours or something? If I start driving right now.
そう。
Sorry guys, no more stream. I need to get some food from a friend's place. Sorry. She turns her gaze back out the window. Just imagining what she's thinking about makes my chest hurt.
夕食の際もいなかったから、お料理下げられてしまったわ。食欲がないの。
You should still eat though.
そう。でも何も食べないと体を壊すと思って夕食を包んでもらったの。部屋に取り置きしておいたパンでサンドイッチにしたのよ。
She glances at the paper bag I'm holding, but quickly looks away.
怪我するのダメ。大丈夫。なら何を。
It's not like I decided what I wanted to say before I came. I've been waiting for her to come back to our room, but unable to sit still, I jumped up and came looking for her.
そのね。まゆりさんも部屋に戻っていなかったの。だから彼女
I
も
hope
リ
you
ッカさんを
can
探
start
していると思
streaming
う
soon
わ。
again.
彼女が
She finally pulls her gaze from the window and turns towards me, but Nika's eyes are sunken into darkness as though they've absorbed the black of the night. I gasp involuntarily at the sight of these eyes, which are not the eyes of the serious, yet kind and warm Nika I know.
まゆりさんを探していたの？違うわ、リッカさんは。まゆりさんのついででなく。
Uh-huh. Noticing her voice shaking a little, I force a smile.
リッカさんを探していたのよ。
I answer. She stares hard at me as though searching for my true intentions.
私を先に。そう。
I nod and she smiles ever so slightly. The words I tell her are not a lie. It is true that I thought I should find Dika before I look for
まゆ
Mayuri.
りさんもリッカさんを傷つけたのを気にしているようだったけれど。
She seems to realize that I'm telling the truth, and although she still seems sad and weary, she goes back to being the class president I know. She then speaks in a restrained whisper.
スオさん、私、おかしいのかな？
Why?
私は級長としてみんなが仲良く過ごせるように規律を守らせ、自分も守り。
There's nothing wrong with rebooting a channel. At all. Listen, sometimes I find websites and I'm like, wow, this is a great website. I should use this, and go to make like an account on it, only to find out I already made an account like several years back and forgot all about it, so who cares? When I first met her, she was obstinate about keeping to the rules.
今は規律を守り、
Rebooting your content.
守らせることだ
Ooh.
けが全てではないと思っているけれど、 でも和を維持するために規律を
I
守
wish
ることが
everyone who
大切だと信
likes
じているわ。
to bring some content online, lots of luck. I wish I could do more. I probably could, but time. Also, like 500 other excuses I can come up with. You gotta have to work. Okay, have a good day at work. Hope it's over fast. And thank you for coming by. Between time and money, it's not easy, yeah. Yeah. I would like to draw more and also do funny highlight videos and sing and draw again. And then it's like, at least I'm keeping to a schedule. Like, at least I am streaming. That's the one thing I can put out. At least I try to tell myself that, like, at least the one thing I try to do, I can do. Simply draw more. But I'm trying. I watch in silence as she speaks.
私はね、スオさん、みんなが幸せでいるなら、
And there's no
それが
background
一番いい。 自分自身のことは二の次でいいと本気で思っていたの。
Headbutt the wall long enough and it's gonna give way. I believe in you. Yeah, you're trying. That is already a step in the right direction. What you should do is take one streaming day to do other content like YouTube or TikTok. Yeah. On the other hand, though, I could probably try to invest more time on the days where I already don't stream. Maybe. TikTok. I posted 2 TikToks and I haven't actually managed to sit down to cut down anything else to actually post it on TikTok. I watched like 5 different tutorials on how to do it though.
だからはじめ、まゆりさんとあまり打ち解けていなかったことに本気で心配したし、二人の仲を取り持とうと思って
You just upload
行動したこと
occasionally.
もあるわ。でも、
You know, for every minute I spend scrolling TikTok myself, I could, you know, work on something I can post on myself, but oh well. She looks down, trembling, her eyebrows knitting. Kidding? I think that's a typo. knitting together in a pain expression.
でも今は違うの。まゆりさんとスオさんが仲良くしているのを見かけただけで
That's fair.
声を
Sometimes
聞い
you
ただ
are
け
too
で
tired to do something. I
苦し
know.
くなるの。
I know that feel already. You can't do TikTok Twitter's already too much mood. I try to tweet like at least once a day. Because I'm like, sometimes I just don't have anything to say, I feel like. Or anything important enough to say it.
リッカさん。嫉妬
I
なん
tried
だ
to
と思う
tweet at least once a day.
でも
Kidding is a word, but no one that makes sense in this context. Yeah.
みんなが仲良くするのが一番だと思っていたのに
You're jealous because you're in fucking love, girl. You have a crush, a giant crush.
二人が仲良くするのをこんなにも辛いと思うなんて私を比べてしまうの。私よりもいえ
Beginning.
私の方がっておかしいでしょ。でもどうしても比べてしまうの。
No, we're not
ねえ
kidding.
スオさん、私と
Erika's kidding the
Mayuri-san.
Virgin Mary. Who do you like more, she asks, and I'm shaken by the imploring sound in her
アニ
voice.
ティを比べるだなんて
It feels close to taboo. She probably feels it too, but now that the thought has been planted. I admire Mayuri. I will never forget that night we met under the cherry trees. Ever since that night, I've admired her. I feel admiration for Rika too, but it is different from how I feel toward Mayuri. Mayuri is unattainable, whereas Rika is more like a projection of who I want to be. Which kind of admiration is closer to like? Should I even compare them? Many different thoughts pass through my head, but I cannot put them into words. Her eyes are not hers again, growing dark as the time she was staring out the window.
二人を比べることなんてできない。でも私はリッカさんのことが好き。これだけは知っていてほしいの。スゴーさん、これが答えじゃダメかな。
Her dark eyes tremble, then go back to normal. A single tear rolls down her cheek and she shakes her head.
いい。その言葉だけでいいの。
You're hungry, aren't you? Let's go back to the room and eat, I say, and put a hand on her shoulder. Ooh! Oh! That is a new... Oh! Different perspective! Ooh! Would remind me, tea partners makes the come off as a bit dense at times. I mean, quite frankly, I think the school's idea of putting 3 people together in a group was the worst idea they've ever had. Because that is exactly what happens if you put 3 people together. Like, oh, someone's gonna feel left out, even if it might not necessarily be the case, but someone's gonna left out and think, oh, the other 2 get along way better than they get along with me. My Sayak was in a dim room. It sounds to my ears like an entirely different person. And your feeling? Mahada shouted in gloom, because she hates me now, the girl who I saw that person in. Ever since we first met, I felt the presence of the person in her when we spoke and interacted.
もう
I feel broken as I face her. I thought she would accept me, but
スオさん
I think she likes Sue. Come to think of it, she's really opened up towards Sue, so much so that it makes me jealous. When she admitted to me in the baths that she wanted to get closer with her, my heart got so riled up I wanted to tear it out. A fierce jealousy. She easily got that which I myself was unable to. Certainly she's a good person. She's sensitive to others' pain, she's kind, and she's fragile. I think with the days. And yet...
なんで私はこんなに
I see Sue playing at the piano and I see that person in her. The one I like. Wait, who are you talking about now? The image of Sue stands out sharply in my mind as I gaze out the window at the... Oh my god, I can't see the text because that's exactly where my microphone is. With a surprisingly clear head, I look up at the moon and think
あ
of
の
her.
人のことが好きだった私の気持ち それに嘘はない。
I came to the academy to forget that person. I felt that living in a dorm would change things somehow,
愚
but
かにも私はあの人の影を追ってしまった。
get a pillow for the X-ray. That's not gonna help. I'm trying to like look below the microphone. If I sit on a pillow, it's gonna be even worse. It's gonna cover even more of the screen. I saw that person in my amitié partner, Indika Hanabishi, which is why I really made an effort to get her to like me. However, the one she likes is Sue
もう
Shirahane.
一人のアミティエ。
I've been jealous and upset at her, but now I feel...
私って気が多い女なのかしら。
doesn't close. I murmur, sneering at my own self-depreciating words. It's just like a cheesy romance movie, a love triangle, but between
告
girls.
白すらしていないっていうのに。
Wait, so she's in love with Rika, but Rika's in love with Sue, and Sue... Yeah. Between the three of us, nobody's made anything resembling a confession. The true feeling I feel is not friendship, nor is it sisterly love, it's a desire that comes with romantic love. I felt strong feelings, including shame, when my lust was pointed out at the body measurement. The lust I've been trying to keep hidden is now... A voice calls out to me as if from a dream. Mayuri-san. The voice whispers my name. I turn vacantly in the direction of the voice as it reverberates sweetly in my ear. In the image of Sue stands out sharply in my mind as I gaze out the window. Before my eyes stands Sue Shirahane, my métier partner staring at me, looking as though she's about to cry.
スオさん。
I whisper her name as though I'm seeing a ghost that looks just like her in the dim library. Why are you sitting in the middle of the library? In the middle of the night? She's staring at me as though she's seen a ghost. Then she stands from her chair and smiles bashfully for some reason.
どうしたんだい。こんな夜更けに。
How the fuck did
ス
she
オ
get...
さん一人なの？
Hold on. Like, we had the whole, ooh, we're doing the Bloody Mary ritual and we're gonna have to be very sneaky and careful to get to the school building from the dorm. But why is she in the middle of the library right now? Which arguably is in the school building. So she had to go here from the dorm. Oddly specific wording.
部屋に戻っていないから探したのよ。
Yeah, that would be so if the main character's one stance. Imagine a romance visual novel where the main character is not dance and we have polyamorous characters and pairings. Wow. Wow. She likes books.
そう。心配してくれたんだ。
I tell her that of course I was, and she gives me a faint, embarrassed smile.
部屋にいても二人とも戻ってこないから心配して。
リッカが彼女も？
ええ。でもリッカさんはもう見つけたわ。今は部屋で休んでいる。話したら落ち着いたみたいだし。
そうか。彼女には悪いことをしたね。
There's nothing I can say about that. Mayuri did nothing wrong. If anything was wrong, it was just the timing.
食事も取らないでずっとここにいたの？
ああ。少し考えたいことがあってね。
悩みは解決した？
This reason was romance allows anyway. Sounds like a pleasant change of pace. Would it still be a romance novel that way, though? Like, it feels a little course of par? How do you say that? Power of the course. I'm fucking stupid. That's how you say it. That people are little dance all the time, but these girls are really, really, really pushing their luck.
いや、ますます応能は深くなるばかりだ。
She smiles, but I know it's self-deprecating. She furrows her eyebrows at my silence.
スオさん、応能って。
深く苦しい悩みよね。大丈夫。茶化したりはしない。ねえ、まゆりさん。
何？
以前、あなたは私へ話したくないことは無理に話さなくていいって言ってくれたわよ。私はあの言葉に救われたわ。何も正直でいることが美徳ではないと知って。でもね、まゆりさん。 そう言ってくれたあなたに言いにくくはあるけれど、私は尋ねたいの。あなたの
So
悩みを。
the main guy is in. Wasn't School Days also the one with the really, really extreme yandere though? Like that really old school one where she ends up killing the other girl and bringing her head to school or something? Yes, it was. Oh, okay. Even how everyone just gotten out of a phase where every story ever needed to have a romantic interest. No, you're all good. Listen, I'm fine with the guy. Oh, the guy's head. Oh. I've never seen School Days. Okay, damn. Listen, I like romance. Like if I play something that has romance as its main selling point, obviously it's gonna have romance. Then it's fine. I am very about romance if I go into something that does not necessarily need it. Where it's like, oh, okay, I don't know, we're doing some funny sci-fi stuff or something, like, okay, but why do these two characters need to date now? Why? It can't be. If it's written well, it's all good. If it's gay, I'm more likely to read it as well. But in stories where I do not expect a romance, I'm like, I mean, to be fair, I feel like it was pretty obvious. Like everyone else, when we played Nier Replicant, everyone else at the end was like, "Oh, yay, kinda," and Nier like, "Oh, aha, more of a side note. Yeah, each their own." My words, she nods just a little. In the dim room, a shadow falls across her face at a slight angle. I cannot tell her expression. Is she sad? Is she angry? I put a hand to my hammering heart and look at her.
そうだね。
You wanna go double kill me?
スオさんに話してもいいかもしれないな。
The mommy goth GF girlfriend is out. We want the girlfriends that will kill anyone who slightly inconveniences us. I get it. You're looking for professional assassin. Manga is an asshole for the most part, is capable of kindness. Oh, okay. Well, technically, School Days counts as a classic, doesn't it? But I've had some bad experiences with other visual novel classics that everyone is supposed to read. I'm like, a little about reading some now. When she looks up at me, she appears to be smiling through her tears. I regret having made her feel like this, but at the same time, I feel delight at being able to share our secrets with one another.
私はね、どうしようもなく愚かな女なんだ。
My confession starts with this line.
子供の頃、10歳の時に両親が離婚し、私は父方に引き取られた。
Child of divorce!
男手一つで娘を育てるのは難しい。だから母代わりに家政婦を雇った。私はその人難しく手のかかる面倒な娘だったが、その人は本当に実の娘のように面倒を見てくれたんだよ。
You need to play FIFA. I will not play FIFA. Why would you need to have played FIFA? What do you mean?
いい人だったんだね。
はあ、いい人だった。だが私としては実の母親の方がやはり大切でね。はがきで住所は分かっていたから、子供の大冒険というやつだ。そして今でも夢に見る光景を見てしまう。
She stares down at the floor again. I wait silently for her to continue.
母の家で覗き見たのは知らない男との情行だった。どうやらその男は浮気相手のようでね。父はそのことを知り別れたんだ。幼い私には話してはくれなかった真実だ。 母の口から私
I
へと向
see.
けた心ない言葉、裏切りを聞き、何もで母の言葉が幼い私にはショックだったのか、その日を境に食べ物が喉を通らなくなった。
Oh, that's not good.
お手伝いさんは面倒のかかる私を海外しく世話し、どうにか食べさせようとさまざまな料理を試した。衰弱していったが、ある種のお菓子だけは食べることができ、なんとかそれをもとに脱することができた。
Maybe that's why I like baking so much, she says with a wry smile.
実の母のように尽くしてくれる彼女。私はね、スオさん、向けてくれる愛情を好意でなく好意としていつしか受け取るようになっていたんだ。私は彼女に恋心を抱いたんだよ。
好きに。
ええ。私は奉納し苦しんだけれど、彼女へ告白することにした。話さないではいられなかったんだ。告白は破れた。もちろん分かっていたことだけどね。彼女が私へ向けていたのは情愛ではなく愛情だったのだから。
I made you a cookie, but I eat it.
She draws a long breath, her expression an indescribable display of embarrassment, anguish, and vulnerability.
私はね、この学院に来る前に失恋したんだ。相手は
Okay, what's so ridiculous about that?
笑えるだろう、スオさん。
Seeing the pain in her eyes, I tell her plainly it is not ridiculous at all.
嘘だ。気持ち悪いと思っているはずさ。
そんな風に思うはずがない。あなたは私の憧れだもの。
Oh!
憧れ。こんな私が。
こんなんて言わないで。私が憧れている人を卑下するのはやめて。
私は。
She bites her lip as if it will help her to bear the pain. I walk toward her and without a word I embrace her.
大丈夫。
スオさん。
何もおかしなことなんてないわ。
Mm.
人が人を好きになって何が恥ずかしいの？
Silence flows over us for a time. I feel her teardrops on my shoulders. I hold her in my arms.
部屋に戻りましょう。風邪をひいてしまうわ。
I'm filled with affection for her as she nods wordlessly. But
愛おしいと思う感情は
is this something more? I think of her, whose warmth I'm feeling right now, and also of Rika. I gently stroke her hair. Don't look down on a person I admire reminds me of, I believe in the me that believes in you. From Gurren Lagann, actually. Suzanne as fuck will finally realize that she doesn't just admire out of these people. No, I think she's starting to realize it. I mean, one of her earliest thoughts was, could this be lesbian feelings? Nah. But I think she's coming around to realize it. Gurren Lagann, yeah. The don't look down on the person I admire reminds me of that. Believe in a me that believes in you. But it also reminds me of TGCF with if you don't know what to live for me. I take a deep breath, finally feeling like myself again. At first I had simply gone out to look for my two métier partners who had not yet returned to the room. Sue's comforting had calmed the jealousy raging within me. Which is
マユリさ
why...
んと向き合おうとしていたのに。
Oh no, she's going to see them hugging and she's got... Oh fuck. When I went to the library, I overheard Mayuri Kosaka's confession and felt something akin to joy well up in me. I did feel pity and a little sympathy as well, and even a desire to rush over and help comfort her.
スオーさんを独り占めできるかも
Oh
しれない。
Rika, why are you like this? You can see the good and the one, the other one less so. I think for the other one you actually need a little more context as to when this phrase was said, because out of context, it really sounds horribly selfish. Two Anime Moves Forgetting is great. I've never actually finished watching it. I've watched like 6 episodes or something back then, many years ago, so it's one of the trigger animes that I've yet to like get around. Hateful little bubble forms within me. The malicious bubbles multiply, latching themselves onto Mayuri's secret. Many different thoughts raced through my head. What if I spread the rumor? She'd surely be dropped from the role of the Virgin Mary. Then, just like any normal year, I would become...
ダメよ。そんな。
I murmur, but the bubbles continue to foam and spread. Better yet, I'll keep it a secret and go to
優
Suo.
しいスオーさんならきっと。
Tell another person to give limits is always selfish. If they need to be given a reason to claim. Hateful, dirty plan. But right now, it seems like the best solution available to me. Hearing a strange sound, the bubbles burst and I hurry down the hallway. But I get the feeling that the seeds of those bubbles remain within me, just waiting to sprout. Oh, Rika, don't do this. I'm sorry, I know you're tired, she says. Mayuri, who knows it was my turn to do the fieldwork today, says while smiling slightly. I finish work in the greenhouse after choir practice, eat dinner, then I'm off for my secret training with Mayuri. No, it's not a secret anymore.
一休みしてからだもの。大したことないわ。
そうか。そいつは残念。
So the sound popped. The bubbles are the weird thoughts she's having. I cock my head at the strange response.
正直、私の方は音を上げそうだったんだ。
Oh.
でも付き合ってくれているスオさんがそう言うんじゃ、私が泣き言を言うわけにはいかないなってさ。
One AMV out there for good and again that I've watched so many times, and it's probably spoiled me on a bunch of scenes that I just cannot place properly. It's so good. I should look for that again sometime. And better movies way better than the anime version. Ooh, no spoilies. No spoilies. Even if it's been many years since it came out, no spoilies. That's why it's unfortunate, she says, and I nod and smile wryly.
本当なら、
Everyone is always smiling wryly in this game. Can't you guys smile normally for once?
寮に戻ってからもクラスの出し物の作業をしているのだもの。無理よ。
Solely the one, the Halloween one? Or the... what's the other Soul Eater one? I can't remember the name right now. But it had a pretty heavy song. Hold on. Soul Eater AMV. Shut me up. Oh. Okay, hold on. I do not know which one you mean on Chaotica. I'll have to look for that, maybe. I haven't been unstable. I can do this fine on my own. Hold on. Hold on! I'm going to open this in a tab. So, I think... Oh, 11 years ago! Oh. 11 years ago. Okay. I'll watch that later. After our talk yesterday, I judged that there are no more hard feelings, and I talked to Dika about my ballet lessons with Mayuri. It appeared to be the first time Dika had heard about it. She said it sounded tough and apologized to Mayuri for not being able to help. So I can tell she's just joking around.
本当は私も立花の仕事を手伝わなくちゃなのにね。
お茶を出したりしているじゃない。きっとリッカさんも分かっているわ。
そうかな。こんなことなら聖書の授業をもっとちゃんと受けとけばよかったよ。資料を揃えるのですら無理だものな。
それは私がやっているから。
うん。でも 直接手伝えないのは歯がゆいな。
I'm relieved to see this thoughtfulness from her after how strained their relationship has been. This is how tea partners are supposed to be. Mayuri, who is bending and stretching to avoid cooling down even while resting, voices a thought that has seemingly just come to mind.
農作業を終えて部屋に戻ってきた時、なんだか青い顔をしていただろう。聞きそびれてしまったんだけど、あれって疲れからじゃないの？
I have not actually played a Kirby game before. You know, because the basic gameplay principle of a Kirby game is exactly the stuff I'm really, really bad at, but I love Kirby. He's so round and pink. It would be perfect, wouldn't it? Just a round pink blob. But I'm not good at those type of games. Reminded of what I saw at the greenhouse I climb up.
それ
あ、やっぱり疲労からか。無理に付き合ってくれ
Thank you
な
for
く
the
てもいい
hydro
んだ
time
よ。
and posture chat.
疲れている時は休んでくれてもいいんだから。
And thank you for the pat.
Wish I was a pink blob. Right? I wish I was a pink blob that could just inhale food and gain powers. If Kirby inhaled me, he'd just gain depression. She's genuinely worried about me. I can tell from the way she stares into my eyes, checking to see if I still look pale.
どうしよう。Yeah, like he's just.
Kirby's design is perfect. It's also, you know how one of my favorite Pokemon is Meryl, or is it whichever one that the really round one is, right? Mwah. Mwah. It's good design, good creature design if it's round. I should probably tell her that her concern is misguided, but
今からでも戻って休んだ方がいい。私はもう少し練習していくから。
I'm sorry I don't have a quote bot. I do not know how to set that up. Her words give me resolve and I decide to confess.
あのね。
どうしたの？私ついていった方がい
Her
い？
skin has the same copy ability. It also looks like here. Oh! Reject modernity, return to tradition, become ball. Yes! Yes, actually.
違うの。青い顔をしていたのは苦手なものを見てしまって。
She saw a snail.
もしかして。
Bet she saw a snail. Like how do you guess with ghosts? She asks, and then blinks in exaggerated surprise when I grimace and nod reluctantly.
なんでそんなに驚いているの？
いや、スオさんって私から見たらすごく大人で理性的に見えていたからさ。なんというか苦手なものなんてないって思ってたんだよ。
That's not the case at all.
得意なものより苦手なことの方が多いくらいだわ。
立花のお化け嫌いはらしい感じだけど、でも農作業中でしょ？そんなに怖いって思うものあったかな？
あるわ。想像するだけでおぞましいものが。
I get goosebumps just thinking about it. That bad, huh? Mayuri murmurs, having noticed my reaction.
農作業中で女の子が苦手なものと言ったら、もしかして虫とか？
その名前を呼ばないで。
What? An icy shiver slithers down my spine as I recall the catastrophe that had derailed my fieldwork.
お、ドンピシャだったのか。
Which bug? Mayuri apologizes to me as I wrap my arms around myself.
でもスオさん、前に家でおじいさんの家庭菜園を手伝っていたと話していたでしょ？そんなに苦手なら手伝えなくない？
Or it's something that people usually don't really have a problem with, or where it's like, oh, why would you have a problem with that? Like something like a ladybug.
普段は警戒しているから大丈夫なの。再三再四注意を払っているし。
You know, people are like, oh, but ladybugs are so cute.
時期じゃないから油断したのよ。
時期じゃないって。
Yes, it is almost a rainy season, which is why I didn't expect it.
休憩していたら私の手に
もう
真っ白蝶が。
I don't know what that is. The words feel disgusting in my mouth. Remembering its hideous whiteness, its strange monstrous mouth and caterpillar-like body, I almost let out a scream.
え、 青虫とかじゃなくて蝶？
そうよ。
Oh, she's not good with butterfly.
基本的に全部ダメだけど、蝶だけは
Oh, a good friend of mine is also really
気
not
持
good
ち
with
悪くて気持
butterflies.
ち悪くて。
I think butterflies make for some good, can make for good design sometimes, but I can't. But I'm not good with any kind of bug, so. Despite my heartfelt confession, she's looking at me dubiously.
苦手なものってそうじゃないと理解されにくいのよね。
Heavy Superstar Ultra for the DS. Oh, okay. The S game. And acquire practice today too. Maybe I'll try. Kirby is so fucking cute, but I'd hate to be as bad as I expect to be at the games, and then not like Kirby as much anymore. It's suddenly also the rainy season. It's also winter. I mean, technically, this game is taking place in the spring, so what? I can't help it. A protesting voice rings out through the cathedral.
苦手なものは苦手なのよ。
あれはお化けじゃないだろ。
During the bike, we were talking about things we're scared of. It started with the fact that Nika always looks down at the ground as she ducks through the doors of the cathedral.
私、聖堂に入るときにお辞儀をしているのかと思っていたわ。
I've never heard of such a thing, she says with her eyes wide. She then pulls a wry grimace.
おかしいと思ったから聞いてみたけど、そうか。
She's scared of the
門を
gargoyle!
守るガーゴイルの銅像が怖かったなんてね。
守護像だってことは分かっているのよ。沖縄でいうところのシーサーみたいなものでしょ。
Yeah, butterflies are okay when they're not close to me, but I cannot stand looking at them up close either. Or if they're realistic. The butterflies in something like Animal Crossing are okay.
でもね、シーサーと違うところは。
She momentarily glances at the closed door of the cathedral, then quickly averts her gaze.
顔は怖いし、悪
I
魔
would
みたいじ
argue
ゃな
that
い。
the Shisa lines do not look that friendly either, but okay. She fervently tries to convince us, but it just comes off as comical to someone who isn't afraid of them. Seeing Nika shuddering, Mayuri bursts out laughing. Don't be mean. Flappy flapbacks that make my tongue feel funny. Huh? The butterfly, you were not okay afterwards, oh no! Just as she did to Rika, she laughs at me, clutching her stomach.
もう誰だって苦手なものはあるでしょ。
それはそうだけどまさか蝶が怖いなんて意外も意外だろ。虫だって例えばテントウムシなんかは可愛いじゃない。
小さくて足がたくさんあるだけでもう無理なのよ。
Just explaining it gives me goosebumps, and I rub my arms. Mayuri smiles and points to my shoulder.
それじゃあ今肩についてる小さなガみたいなのでもダメなの？
What's happening? I let out a voiceless scream and throw myself at Mayuri. I lose my balance and succumb to gravity. My back hits the floor, and though I'm in pain, I'm glad Mayuri didn't end up beneath me. If she were to be injured because of me...
スオさん。
She'd been laughing up until now, but her sudden change to a low, calm voice startles me. Gay people! You would die for if you saw something. Enough! You know what? Let's stop talking about bugs, okay? Her face draws closer. This is the way they fall in anime. Where it's like, whoopsie doopsie, I tripped over my own legs and now suddenly I'm literally on someone else's crotch. But, in a panic, I try to bend backwards, but my hand is trapped against the floor as she stares at me, red-faced.
ごめん。
いいのよ。事故だし。
そうか。
Mayuri's face right in front of mine. Her reddened face slowly crumples, distorting with sorrow.
そうだね。事故。そうだ。
She whispers so closely I can feel her breath.
スオさん。私は。
She murmurs and I gaze back at her.
私は。あなたに甘えているのかもしれない。
甘え。
Huh? As I'm thinking on the meaning of that word, I quickly turn toward the voice that belongs to neither of us.
リッカ。
どうしたの？そんなに怖い顔をして。
Would have to fell knees first on the stomach. That's true. What if I accidentally bumped into you and we fell to the ground and I kissed you just as a joke? Unless... yeah, no, with some dude's crotch getting accidentally headbutted. Oh! Oh!
これは。
練習で倒れてしまったんでしょ？さあ、手を貸すわ。
Nika looks as nonchalant as always as she lends Mayuri and then me a hand up.
遅くなったから呼びに来たのよ。そろそろお風呂に行かないと閉められてしまうわ。早く行きましょう。
そう。呼びに来てくれたんだ。
汗だくの2人の匂いに包まれた部屋はごめんだものね。部屋の電気を消してきて。出るわよ。
I let out a small sigh of relief that she's acting the same as usual and goes to hand Mayuri her uniform.
スオさん、話があるの。
She whispers into my ear. Yeah, so much for acting like usual.
待たせたかしら。
She calls out to me in her usual restrained voice. I've been waiting for Nika in the dim room surrounded by the sound of books. I feel like I'm in a different world as her words drift over to me as though through a cloud. Because we're meeting in the library in the dead of night. Turn out the light, yeah. Kill the lights! Yeah, turn out the light! I think that is a valid way to say it, actually. I giggle.
何かおかしいことでも？いえ、なんでもないわ。
Before I came to the academy, I had actually been concerned about not being able to make friends. The old me.
呼び出されるようになるなんて。
I never imagined I could have such a deep relationship. That's why I giggled. Perhaps I seem strange, laughing for no reason. She scrutinizes my face questioningly.
ごめんなさい。こんな夜更けに図書室にいるだなんて。私自身に起きたお話じゃないような気がして。夜更けに呼び出したのは悪いと思っているわ。構わない。おかしな気分になっているだけなのだから。
If that's the case, then I'm feeling strange too, she says. Then she steps forward facing me.
こんな話変だと思うでしょうね。話して。昨日まゆりさんと仲良くしていると嫉妬してしまうと話したでしょ。どうしても比べてしまうって。私はこの気持ちはただの嫉妬だと思ったの。
Yeah, that is exactly what it is.
自分のお気に入りの人形を他の人が手に取って遊んでいるのを見つけてしまったような感情。私も仲のいい友人が私よりも仲良くしている人がいるのを知れば面白くないわ。それはきっと誰にでもあるものよ。
Theater Sticker probably cannot stand her own pettiness. I go on, trying to lighten her burden.
それに嫉妬はいけないことなんかじゃないわ。だって嫉妬するくらいその人のことが大好きだってことでしょ。相手のことに真剣になれるから苦しいの。だから。ええ、苦しいわ。スオさんのことを思うと苦しいの。リッカさん。二人が仲良くしているのを見ているとレッスン室でのことだって。
She had pretended it didn't face her, but apparently it did.
さゆりさん。
Who the fucking guessed? And it fell to the ground with her on top
あ
of
れ
me.
は事故よ。
These girls are getting gay.
私には
It's
そう見
okay,
え
we're
な
all
かったわ。
suffering together.
いえ、事故なんて言葉じゃ済ませたくない。
I see how serious she is and I'm at a loss for what to do. If we are to remain amitié partners, if change is not always a good thing.
あのレッスン室の事故のせいでまゆりさんと差がつけられたと思うなら
My lips tremble with nerves.
同じことをして
Huh?
みる
How is this? How is this? What do you... Ooh. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Sure. Let's almost kiss. That's definitely gonna make her feel better. Heart says silence. Even though I immediately regret those stupid words, I can't take them back. I'm struggling to find the words to say next when...
バカにしないで私は勇気を振り絞ってスオンさんに告白しに来ているのに
Hi! Good evening! Welcome Raiders! I'm new and like the color pink. Visual novels JRPGs, and we're currently fucking up getting confessed to. How are you doing? Hi. Hold on, let me give you the funny new shout out that I keep forgetting that Twitter has. Shout out. Also, a Pikachu for the Raiders. Pikachu. Pikachu. You played Pokemon in Genshin? What happened to Genshin? Since when can you play Pokemon in Genshin? But I hope stream was fun. Twitter? No, you're not supposed to be on Twitter right now. On Twitch. Did I say Twitter? I wanted to say Twitch. I stand there dumbfounded for a long moment, staring at Lika, whose scarlet blush is visible even through the darkness. She looks as though she's about to burst into tears at any moment. Her body's trembling and her hands are balled into fists. Well, thank you for the non-binary. This is a confession, meaning...
冗談よね
I finally string together the words. Slow on the uptake as usual, I choose the worst possible response.
夜中にアミティへの子を呼び出して悪ふざけするほど私は不良じゃないわ
It wasn't bad. I did not realize I said Twitter. She glares at me and there's a desperation in her eyes. I think harder than I've ever thought in my life. Oh my god. I'm trying to eat and you give me a cursed uvu. Well, she's gonna start crying. Okay. Thank you. I searched for some way, however, makeshift to preserve my relationship with her, with them. I considered the changes surrounding me when I felt accepted. And the connection with my amitié partners when I were not accepted. And feel sick now how horrible a woman I am for having these self-interested thoughts. Stop! Why are you using all of your points at once? What's happening? Okay, hold on. Pause attack. In a hurry time. It's water time. Okay. There's so much happening. Jesus Christ. What should I do? Nikano's definitely a threat to society. Oh yeah. I'm coming for your mom. I mean, what? There's nothing happening. Nothing strange happening. Never. No. I feel sorry for Rika here. Rika is like actually genuinely trying to confess her laughters, and I'm just overing my way out of it. That is fucked up. Like 58 point. Oh my god. Why you guys have so many points? I know why, but why do you have so many points? Jesus Christ. Genuinely. I hesitate a bit at her name, but I answer in the affirmative. A cold silence passes between us until she lets out a small sigh as though moving on from something.
スオさんのお気持ちはわかりました。ごめんなさい、リッカさん。いえ、 謝るのは私の方だわ。
Her smile is infinitely kind, which is what makes it so terrifying. Make more funny redeems. I know, but I don't know what else to make as a funny redeem. A more lovely confession this way.
だって、これから耳を塞ぎたくなる話をしなくてはならないのだから。
If you don't go out with me, I'm gonna start telling everyone that Mayuri is a lesbian. Haha. I gaze into Dika's eyes. The smile doesn't leave her face as she begins to tell me what she witnessed last night.
呼び出した場所で察してもらえるかと思ったんですけどね。
In the library late at night. The answer this leads me to...
まゆりさんとの話を。ええ、偶然に。面白い話をしていましたよね。いえ、痛ましい話ですか。まさかまゆりさんが。
Which is a fucking bullshit ass move and I hate Dika for it. I cut her off sharply from voicing a discriminatory word she's about to use.
私もひどい言葉を吐きたくありません。
Oh.
何をすればいいのかわかりますよね、スオさん。
She's literally blackmailing us into dating her. I turned to look out the window just as she had, as if to turn my eyes away from reality. The moon, broken up by the square panes of glass, shines blue and cold. She repeats her question words colder than the moon, and I have no choice but to say yes. This doesn't make any sense to me, by the way. Horika goes from, oh, I'm in love with you, but you won't date me? 1 second. Oh, I can't. Okay, I can't pause here. I'm in love with you. I want to date you. Oh, you don't want to date me? Okay, I'm gonna blackmail you into dating me? Because otherwise I'm going to tell the entire school that our other friend is a lesbian. And invite literally everyone to be an asshole to her because... Funny! What is your fucking problem, girl? Also, how does that even make sense? Like, oh, I'm gonna out this other person. I'm gonna out this other person, but yet I want you to date me and then we're gonna be lovey-dovey. Like, you're still going to show off that you guys are not straight. What the fuck is the point? You do have a choice. Saying no would have had cruel consequences, but it is an option. That is very true. Also, thank you for the Christianity and the pet. She's consoling. That's her problem, isn't it? She wants to play at dating Sue to be like, hee hee, look at us, we're so cute. But she wants to out the other person. Like, what? What? I can't fucking read that. El nivo sentimental. I do not speak French. Oh no, don't worry. You're allowed to shit talk the church. Here. No worries. This is a safe space. It's the first tea party in a while. Everyone is excited, with everyone's time and energy being devoted to the upcoming Feast of the Assumption. A moment to chat and eat some tasty treats is just what we need. The colorful desserts and plates of food before our eyes are enhanced by the scent of tea. The classmates who've gathered during this busy time look up to the host, who has stood to make an opening speech. She strikes a teacup to get attention. Before we start the tea party, she says, slowly turning her head and looking around at the seated audience as she speaks. It's standard for her to make a few announcements at the start of the tea party, and everyone listens in silence.
では、最後に私事ではありますが。
Do you hear everything 3 times? I try. I try. I try to pretend that I can actually properly hear this way. I can hear into like 5 other dimensions now. Our classmates look unquestioningly at this conclusion, which is so different than usual, but Dika's smiling expression remains unchanged.
この度、私とスオーさんはお付き合いすることになりました。
Yeah, you're in a relationship. You sure are in a relationship. I like that it's not even a romantic relationship. It's just a relationship. You know, a relationship could also just be friendship, right? She announces. After a moment of silence come the cheers and hoots. A female classmate stares, piercing me with a relentless curiosity. My friends, the Sasaki twins, the astonished face of Erika Yaegaki, and the troubled gaze of my other amitié partner filled with a quiet anger. I was hoping soon just going, go ahead, do it, there's two of us. You think we're not gonna just play it off as you spreading a rumor? Yeah, the problem being Sue is not the type of person to have that much backbone. And Rika being a very well-respected classmate as the like, it's not the, you know, the first year student president thingy, whatever. Ignoring someone is a kind of relationship too. Yeah, there's a high chance of her bluffing idiots or falling for it. Well, also, that's very true. It's such an asshole move. I hate this part of the game, actually. The announcement of our relationship is seen as less strange than I would have thought. Rika reacts to Ichiko's jeering by saying some words that would make a person blush. Ringo says some sharp words to avenge her fallen sister, but this too is parried. It is normal at an all-girls school, but she's using it to blackmail you. How are you not seeing that? Girl! I know you have some trouble because you never really interacted with people much, but Jesus Christ! Mayuri is struggling with her homosexuality. I'd only agreed to go out with Ika because she threatened to expose Mayuri. But if this is the reaction even if she were found out, also I think for a few moments, but when I look at the atmosphere of the tea party and my classmates' attitude, I get the feeling that this is different. The announcement of our relationship is not, in reality, about a sexual, physical one. It is just that we have strengthened our friendship, that we are now close friends. What the fuck are you saying? No, it's more about a deeper spiritual relationship. I mean... Or like 16 super sheltered and Catholic. Well, the funny thing is not everyone here is like literally straight up Catholic. Like sure they all go to a Catholic school, where we've had several characters in the game already be like, oh, our family is not Catholic. Actually, none of the... Sue isn't, Rika isn't. The only... Well, let's do it the other way around. The only two people we know who are quite literally Catholic because they were baptized and everything are the two student council presidents, like Nirine Komikado and I forget her name, the silver-haired one. But to be fair, Nirine is half Italian and stuff. And her dad went over to Japan and was like, ooh, I have to spread the Catholic plague! Close friends. Yeah. Super close friends. They all go to the coast. That's the first mistake. And they were roommates! They were roommates. I hate this part though, because it's like everyone, they don't really see it as something serious. They see it as, oh, it's an old girls' school. Everyone is playing around a little kind of thing. But after they go out of school, they're gonna go out into the world and find a man for life and marry. So no one's taking it seriously right now. Because that's what they all see it like. The classmates as well. I feel that the weight of Rika's announcement of our relationship is different altogether from what is troubling Mayuri. The people around us have accepted it more readily than I'd expected. It is almost a letdown. Most of all... What the fuck, Erika? The joke is too direct for me to be able to laugh at it. Sipping tea and making her mean cat eyes, she asked me from where she's been watching a tea party from a little ways away. I guess she's come over to tease me. It's number 2.
それとももうあっちの方もすでに済ましてるとか性格からするとお前の方が男役か昨日の今日でそんなことをしているわけないでしょへえ告白をされたのは昨日なのか 保留しないで即決で返事するなんて
Shut the fuck up,
男前だな。
Realizing that these jokes are her way of extracting information from me, I hang my head with a sigh.
冗談はともかく意外だったな。私としては付き合うにしても委員長よりもう片方の網手を選ぶものだと思っていたよ。
Mayuri, there's no sign of her at the tea party. She's already left, and that tells me how she really feels about this.
で、本当のところはどうなん
No,
だ
she's
よ。
blackmailing me.
委員長の言う通り付き合ってるのか。
I see her talking pleasantly with the Sasakis.
そうよ。
I answer.
へえ、それじゃ本当に両思いってこと
No, it's
か。
not.
ま、
She's
女学
blackmailing
院
me.
のこの風土
Erika,
だ。
you have to get me out of here, please. Yeah, help me.
耳に入る噂話なら
I'm getting forced
女
against
同
my
士っ
will.
てのもそれほどキーな話じゃないそうだしな。
We're getting pretty political here. That's what the gay girl games do to you.
閉鎖的な状況だからか、女学院特有のものだか知らないが、割合多いらしい。
Oh, Erika, you can talk shit all you want, but the second game has you as the main character. You just wait for your turn.
宗教的にも学院的にも男と乳くり合うよりはいいんじゃないか。
Is it?
そういえば1年前はあの美人な副会長と会長も一時期噂になったらしい。
Oh, those two get a turn as
それ
well
く
in
ら
the
いは
third
浸
game.
透
No
しているん
worries.
だろうな。小見門先輩と八代先輩が
They're childhood friends, so of course they would make a stunning pair visually, but
性格的に無理なような。
having talked to the two of them together, their relationship seems like pure friendship to me. Friendship.
リッカさんと私は
As I think about the nature of our relationship, I hear the cheers again. Both Yagaki and I look to the source.
どうやら王子様のおいでのようだ。
My cat-eyed friend. Oh my god! My cat-eyed friend says teasingly as we watch Dika walk this way. Dika walks gracefully over, faces me, and takes me by the hands. More hoots and hollers.
私たちお付き合いしているでしょ。でも互いの雰囲気から以前とあまり変わらないという方がいて。
Well, if Sue wasn't so spineless, she would not be going
そ
along
んな
with
こ
all
とない
this,
っ
but
て証明しなくちゃならなくなったの。
it's describing as a cat. Oh yeah, listen, I started a counter for like how many times she's referred to her as or referred to some of her features as a cat, and this stream alone it's been 3 times. Last stream it was 2 times. The stream before that was also 3 times. So we're getting there. But yeah, have a good night. Hope you can get some rest. Prue, she says.
まさかそのこの場でキスをするとか。やだ、そんな不死だらな真似はしないわ。そういうことはきちんと手順を踏んでからするものよ。
I'm secretly relieved to hear this. I decided to do this for the sake of my métier partner, but I'm still not ready for that.
そのね、スオさん、今までの関係を変えるためにもっと親密になるためにしようと思っていたことがあって。
She's blushing and bashful. Her cuteness invites a desire to protect her. Completely unlike the girl I saw yesterday.
私考えたのだけど、お互いに呼び方を変えるというのはどうかなと思って。その
You really didn't have to blackmail Sue into dating you to drop the sun. But okay. Well, this
と
is...
んでもないことを言われると。
Yeah, like, okay, that's not too bad. You didn't have to blackmail her. I blink in surprise at the unexpectedly tame request.
ダメ？いえ、ダメなんかじゃないわ。そうね。呼び方を変えるというのは、つまりさん付けをやめるとか？ええ、そう。 かしら。
I guess usually people drop the sun once they start calling each other by their first names. I would usually feel some hesitation, but...
はい。
I thought she wanted something more, so I say the name rather nonchalantly. But as soon as her name leaves my lips...
猛烈に恥ずかしい。
This wouldn't happen over here. This wouldn't happen over here because we don't really have the whole thing of talking to people by the last name. If you talk to someone by the last name, it's because you're also talking to them with like the formal you. You call them Mr., Mrs., whatever, blah, blah, blah. If you already talk to someone by the first name, if you're close enough to talk to someone by the first name, it's also, you also call them by the non-formal you most of the time. So this wouldn't make sense. Over here. The chorus of cheers goes up. The Sasakis are hooting. I feel Yagaki's gaze at my back. My entire face and neck turn red.
スオちゃん、かわいい。ういういしいね。
Nika's trembling and I ask her if she's alright. She nods, her eyes on the ground.
私からも呼ぶね。うん。
Who would have thought how wonderfully intimate it would be to call one another by our names like this? For a moment I forget the course of events that has led us to this point, and I feel a warmth in my chest. A lump rises in my throat. I respond naturally. Do you?
さあ。
Here you are, she says as she gives me a handmade cookie. It's wonderful to receive something like this from a friend. However...
自分でいただくわ。恥ずかしがらないで。
Oh god. Like a bird feeding her brood, her eyes tell me to open my mouth.
みんなが見ている中で。
Since the announcement of our relationship, she hasn't hidden her feelings for me. In my opinion, she's asking for too much physical interaction, and I have no choice but to respond. The reaction of everyone around us.
大垣さんの言った通りだわ。
No one looks at us with curiosity despite this obviously romantic interaction. Rather, people seem to be looking on with envy as I distractedly take a bite of the cookie.
何?
She's taking hold of my hand in one of hers. Her palm is warm, soft, and feminine.
美味しくなかったですか? そんなことないわ。いただくわ。そう、よかった。あーんしてね。
I do as she asks and open my mouth and wait for the somewhat bitter cookie. In this way, our intimate relationship continues.
時間は大丈夫なの?
On by last name currently in my old class teacher told us first name is alright after you graduated. Oh, nice. No, I do. I do have people I call by last name. But, you know, paired with a formal you. So...
少しくらい息抜きをしないと煮詰まってしまうわ。スオーには付き合ってもらって悪いと思っているけど。平気よ。お昼まで練習しているわけじゃないし。そう、ならよかったわ。
Gives me a start when she calls me Suo. Other than the fact that her touching has become a bit excessive, she's just Nika. I forgot the fact that I am in a relationship with her, but her calling me Suo clearly expresses a new dynamic in our relationship.
あんまり森を散策するのとか興味がなかったけど、二人でこうしていると楽しいわね。
I smile with her as she bounces along.
友人とお散歩をするのは私の夢の一つだったし。
Of course I'm happy about it. However, while we have friends... Nika, who's not looking at the forest but at me, furrows her brows and looks at me with a stern face.
何かついているかしら?
Japanese people be like...
いえ、もしかして寝
I
不
just
足な
don't
の?
see what Nika gets out of this. Like, Nika is aware that all of this is just pretend, right? Like, she blackmailed Suo into this, so like, it's not even that she can delude herself into thinking there's actual feelings here. So, doesn't that just hurt everyone involved even more? I cock my head, not understanding the question. Nika stops and puts a finger to my lips.
唇が荒れているわ。 ダメよ、女の子なんだから。
Oh my god. She says and takes out a lip balm from my pocket.
これって
Scene from a novel I read before. An indirect kiss. I get nervous as she removes the cap and breathes on the lip balm.
何をしているの？リップクリームを温めて塗りやすくしているの。少し待っていてね。
Oh my god. She puts the warmed up lip balm on her index finger and puts it to my lips, then...
動かないの。おとなしくしていなさい。
I am cringing. Crying. Like painting on a canvas, she neatly spreads the lip balm across my lips. Her finger stroking my lips awakens feelings of bashfulness and a kind of pleasure.
これでいいわ。ありがとう、リッカさん。もう、リッカでいいのよ。
Thank you, Dika, I say, reflecting on the sensation of her fingers on my lips. I've said it before, but while the touching is excessive, our relationship is even better than it was before. I'm happy about this. However, if we use medicine as an analogy to our relationship, strong medicines contain poison. If you take too much, you will be poisoned. During self-study time...
ねえ、さすがに飽きてきたよ。図書室は静かにですよ。ちょっと真面目に自習しすぎじゃない？普通もうちょっとお話とかするものじゃないかな。
She leans across the table looking at me reproachfully.
読んだ本の感想文も書かなくちゃいけないし、きちんとやった方がいいわ。
I say, and...
そうよ。ほら、そんなにたくさん持ってきているんだから、好きな本を選んで読みなさい。
Says Dika, who sat next to me. We had a four-person desk with us on one side and the Sasaki's on the other. Ichigo grudgingly takes a book from the top of the pile she bought and thumbs through it. She quickly gets bored though and looks around the library.
ねえ、なんでユリは一緒に自習していないの？一緒にやろうよ。まゆりさんは本は一人で集中して読みたい派なの。だから邪魔したらダメよ。変なの。みんなで勉強した方が面白いのに。
Yes, if our relationship is medicine, it is medicine that is so strong it has become poison. And not poisonous in her attitude toward Mayuri. If two people in a three-person amitié group start a relationship, then the other naturally becomes the third wheel. Mayuri only exchanges the bare minimum words necessary for daily life with us now. And Ika seems to think this is a good thing. Our loose but intersecting paths are drifting apart. She's probably avoiding me because she thinks I'm a traitor. I let out a small sigh, small enough so that Ika does not notice, and pick up a collection of Natsume Suzuki's works. Words which I usually feel so keenly in my mind and my heart barely even register. I look up to see Dingo focus, and Ichigo happily flipping through pages as if she were reading a comic.
本好きじゃないイチゴさんがそんなに気に入るなんて何の本かしら。
The binding appears to be that of a technical book. Even more confused, I lean forward without thinking.
どうしたの、そうちゃん。その本読むの飽きた？お話でもしようか。
I tell her that she is mistaken as my amitié partner, and Dingo look at me strangely.
いちごさんが読んでいる本が気になって。
I say, oh, this! Ichigo says and turns the book she's holding toward me.
これってサッカーのルールブック？
Oh!
まずは基礎知識から学ぼうと思って。いちごさんって変わっていると思っていたけど、サッカーになんて興味があるのね。
Would you really say to someone's face that, oh, I always thought you were strange?
サッカー好きは変わり者みたいな言い方だね。今は女子サッカーも盛んなんだよ。
She's right. I've seen it generating quite a buzz on the news recently. Next to her, Dingo slams her book shut.
受け売りなのです。八代先輩がサッカーに目覚めたらしく、部で話しているのを聞いて、いちご姉は。
That's how she got interested, she says.
今まであんまりスポーツらしいスポーツはやってこなかったから、
Sports.
なんかやってみようかなって思ったんだ。
It's a sport.
へえ、いちごさんってスポーツをやっているイメージだったわ。
遊びの方に夢中だったからスポーツはあんまりね。ね、そうちゃんは何かやってた？
A little swimming, apparently. Speaking of sports, I recall the swim meets my grandfather took me to, but that I immediately quit.
その顔は何かやったことがあるんだね。
Of course she did. She would have to look at the people.
そうなの？初耳だわ。
やったと言えるほど長く通ってなかったからよ。なんというか人前で着替えたり、
Yeah,
人
exactly.
に肌を見せたりするのは好きじゃなかったから。おっ！これは期待してしまう話題ですね。
You guys are supposed to be studying. Imagine getting into a European football. The actual first... What was it? The actual first American football NFL game took place this week, like the last weekend or something, in Germany. Like a proper official one, and they had so many people in there or something. So like, okay. I only found out about that by chance at work today because like, me, sports. The Sasaka is leaned forward and Nika is blushing for some reason.
別に面白いことじゃないわ。水泳よ。みんなの町や市でもスイミングクラブってあったでしょ？
Do they?
ああ、水泳か。確かにうちの町にもあったよ。結構学校の子たちも通っていたな。学校で水泳の授業を何度も避けていたら一度入会させられそうになった苦い思い出がある。私も気が進まなかったけど、祖父が一度通ってみてから決めてみろって。よく知らない人の前で脱がなくちゃいけないし、水着になったらみんなに見られて恥ずかしい思いをしたわ。
Even though I wasn't very good, my classmates and even the adults were always looking at me. What was that all about then? Oh my god.
素直な水着。リッカさん？
She mutters something. I move to put my hand on her shoulder, but Dingo takes it instead.
そっとしてやってほしい。
I might not really understand it, but it's Dingo's request. I decide to let Dingo be as she stares downward.
八代先輩から勧められたサッカーだけど結構面白そうだよ。今度みんな集めてやってみようかな。おとなしいお嬢様が多い校風だからなかなか難しそうだけどね。そうかな。こういうのってスオちゃん好きそうじゃない？どれ？
I peer down as Ichigo puts the book on the desk and points to a trivia section on the page.
桃か？なんでサッカーに果物が？
Why are they calling football soccer? Because I think the people who translated the game are American.
いわゆる不調ってやつだよ。
It's most often the
内
case.
ももに蹴りが入ってしまうことだって。なんか面白いね。へえ、専門用語みたいなものかしらね。飲食店で口に出してはいけないあの虫のことを5番入りましたというようなものかも。
A shadow of dread runs through me at the word, but I tell her it's not quite the same, and then Ichigo claps her hand.
そういえばこの手の話はユリが得意なんだよ。スポーツ系で前盛り上がったことあるし。そうなの？うん、確か何かやっていたって話してたような。ね、ちょっと呼んでこようか。
Just as I'm about to agree with her.
ダメよ。なんで？詳しい話聞けるかもだし、呼んできたっていいじゃん。
まゆりさんは読書中だって言ったでしょ。邪魔した。
向こうだって休憩くらいするよ。呼んできたっていいよね。
I don't like to agree with you here. Chichiko's proposal.
どうしたもの？交流を深めたっておかしくない？
I think, but seeing her brandishing a scowl, I'm unable to say anything.
勉強の邪魔をしてはいけないわ。へえ、少しくらい構わないのに。そうね、少しくらいはね。でもそれを言うなら私たちもそろそろおしゃべりはやめて勉強に戻りましょう。少しくらいは過ぎたでしょ。
Ichiko sticks her tongue out like she were a little snake.
そうそう、 そろそろ真面目に読書をしましょう。
Little snake.
ね、スオ。
She squeezes my hand under the desk. Her hand is strong and warm, and more than anything seems to convey her will. When I think of her opening books by herself in the back of the library, an inexplicable feeling wells up in me. Is it because she hates me? Is it because I've lost my hard-won amitié partner and my friend? As I feel the warmth of Rika's hand, I feel as though my heart is being squeezed deep in my chest. They were reading buddies. We keep passing each other by. No, Mayuri is avoiding me on purpose. I've barely been able to exchange a word with her. During break, at lunch too. She even turned me down for ballet practice after class, saying she'd rather do it alone. Our only interaction was during the practice for the hymn. From all the practice, Mayuri's voice is now on par with the members of the choir. Perhaps she always had natural talent, because her singing compared to when she first started being instructed by Komikado is beyond recognition.
私は一度演奏を止めましょう。
Komikado has been conducting, waves her conductor stick at me, and I take my hands off the keyboard.
どうしたの？こういうことを尋ねるのは失礼だけど、今日は最近ミスが多いようだわ。すみません。責めているのではないの。調子が悪いのなら休んだっていいのよ。まだ時間はあるのだから。
Her long fluttering lashes and ladylike way of speaking, I feel annoyed at my own spinelessness.
どうしたんですか？スオさんが少し調子が悪いみたいで。え、大変。
Rika comes rushing over and gently lifts my bangs. She puts her forehead against my own to check my temperature. My cheeks turn red as her lips draw so close that we're almost kissing.
少し熱があるかも。
Are you stupid?
それは大変だわ。違います。大丈夫です。
Like she's getting hot because the other girl is getting close to her. That's not a fever. When I move my forehead away in embarrassment, Mayuri, who's staring off into space, enters my peripheral vision, and I hurriedly grab Komikado's hand.
何？ほら、熱はないでしょ？ですよね。
I put Komikado's hand to my forehead, and she blinks and nods.
熱はないみたい。本当ですか？でもそれじゃあ。
She takes her hand away from my forehead, then pats my head. My feelings of irritation slowly dissipate.
急に頼まれた伴奏だものね。うまくいかず、悩んでいたのよね。
I look down, unable to tell her that her. Oh, that's a double that her. Kind words are off the mark. She continues gently stroking my hand.
練習の後、少し話しましょうか。スオさん。
A warm voice flows over me. We can take it easy over here, she says, and hands me a fragrant cup of coffee. The heat of it spreads through my hands as I respond with a yes.
冷めないうちにどうぞ。
With this encouragement, I take a sip of the coffee. I'm not used to the bitter, acidic flavor, but
おいしい。
I take up like twice as space as everyone because of you. She needs to let it flow freely. The warm coffee sliding down my throat and settling in my stomach returns to me a sense of peace.
そう、よかったわ。私紅茶よりもこっちが専門なの。でも学院でコーヒー好きはあまりいないから寂しかったのよ。
I asked the name of the coffee, but since I only know the famous brands, I don't know this one. But
きっと特別な豆なんだわ。
I've been feeling down, so the fact that she made me this special coffee warms my heart.
ねえ、スオさん。はい。練習の時は急に伴奏を頼んだことで重荷になっているのよねと尋ねてうなずいていたけれど、本当は何か他に理由があるんじゃないかしら。なぜそう思うのですか？
Komikado sips her coffee elegantly.
以前伴奏を頼んだ際に気分が悪くなったことがあったでしょ。
There are people who repeat them with your hair. Shut the fuck up.
あの時体調が優れなかったこともあったでしょうけど、 急に頼まれた重圧もあったことからだと思うの。
You seem different to then, she says to me, shaking her golden hair as she nods.
もしかしてなのだけど、ハミテ同士でうまくいっていないのかしら。
No, whatever do you mean? I've never been better. I'm only getting blackmailed by one, and the other one I don't talk to anymore. She's touched a nerve, and my hand holding the coffee starts to shake a bit. Komikado, who's sharp and has probably figured it out, murmurs, "That's what I thought."
なぜわかったのですか。ここ最近花火師さんと距離が近くなったでしょ。反面高坂さんとは距離を置いている。だからハミテ同士の関係で悩んでいるのじゃないかって思ったの。
It's probably easy to figure out. I put my coffee on the countertop and hesitate.
コミカド先輩へ相談してみようか。
At one point, the vice president already noticed there's something wrong, so it seems like a good idea to open up to her. Or maybe it is because it has become too much to bear it
コ
alone.
ミカド先輩のおっしゃった通りです。少し前から3人の関係性が崩れてしまって。そう。以前は3人ともが同じくらいに仲良く、ハミテとして行動していました。でも、私とリッカさんの仲が深まって、それに気づいたまゆりさんは距離を置き出したんです。
I omit the romantic aspect of the relationship. Komikado twirls her hand, furrows her brow, then says, "Oh."
私は今年度からアミティエという制度が3人制になってから、この問題は必ず出てくるだろうと思って
That's what I've been saying!
Thank you for the pet. And thank you for the idle time.
以前のアミティエ制度は2人で疑似友人を作るというものだった。これはこの学院が良性であり、現実社会から遮断されていることを鑑みれば、この制度は有効だと思う。心細い生徒同士をつなぐ絆になるし、アミティエだけでなく、アミティエの友人からさらに世界を広げることができる。
She takes a sip of coffee and furrows her brows.
でもね、3人というのは派閥を生むわ。どんなに仲の良い生徒同士でも
Three is one too
特
many.
別を作ってしまう。なぜ私は今年度から3人制にしたのか疑問に思っていたの。確かに。
A novel I read before said that humans are creatures who like to create hierarchies. Regardless of sex, we insist on making frameworks.
どうしようもないんでしょうか。ねえ、スオさんはアミティエという制度をどう思っているかしら。
I mean,
あった方
the
がいいと
Amitié
思う？
system in general is a
それ
good
とも
thing.
ない方がいいと思う？
Like with the whole test and who they think you might get along with, and then they put you together. But I don't like the 3-person one. Oh, the previous system was better. Well, what I think doesn't matter. We have to choose what brings us the ending we want. So something about Komikado's question shakes me deep to my core.
ない方がいいなんて言えない。
We need dramatic tension. Yeah. As someone who wasn't able to make friends, I came knocking at the gate of this academy because of its artificial friend system, Amitié.
コミカド先輩の言う二人制だったら。
Couldn't we have avoided all this? We certainly wouldn't have had these struggles. Without the Amitié system, though, I never would have been able to get so close with these two popular girls. That's why the 2-person system is...
リッカさん、
She's always been there for me.
マユリさん、
She accepted me despite all my problems. Can't possibly compare them.
今のままでいいと思います。
Well, I would argue that the one blackmailing you into all this definitely lost some sympathy points, but
それはなぜ？アミティエが3人でなかったら、リッカさんやマユリさんと友人でいられていないと思うからです。悩ましく思えるのは幸運なことなのかもしれないわね。3人制だからこそ 今のような悩みを抱えることができる。そう考える2人だけでは至らなかった。より関係性を深めるための装置として。
I asked Komikado if she wasn't against three people amitié groups. She answers that she personally could not agree to them, but as the vice president of the Council of Nikkei, she agreed.
悩むということは何事においても必要なのよ。それが胸をかきむしる思いでもですか？ええ、迷いのない人生なんてないわ。人はね、スオさん、何もない空っぽの人生を歩む人もいるの。ただ受諾するだけの人生を良しとする人よ。あなたは迷ってはいるけど自分の道を歩いているわ。
Like me, Komikado says, her words trailing off.
解決する道は教えてくれないのですか？悩みなさい。3人ともが幸せに歩める道があるはずよ。なんだか懺悔をしに来たみたいです。私は神父の娘だもの。これは試練です。
She smiles teasingly and I can't help but smile along with her. Smiling makes me feel a little better.
3人ともが幸せになれる方法。
Does such a thing really exist? I pick my cup off the counter and gulp down a cold coffee. Instead of leading me directly to the dormitory, my feet unconsciously carry me to the library. I stand there surrounded by the special scent particular to old books that reminds me of my grandfather and allow my mind to wander.
ちょうどいいところに来やがった。
I hadn't noticed her behind the desk in the evening light, her small silhouette appearing as a
真
ghost.
昼に幽霊を。いや、大間が時だからいい頃合いなのか。
Still reading my
だ
mind.
けど、人を幽霊扱いするのはひどいんじゃ
That
ない
is
か。
number 4. With a squeak of her wheelchair, the ghost transforms into my cat-eyed
八
classmate.
重垣さん。
Jesus Christ. And I think that's the third time there was specifically just a cat voice.
いや、ちょうどよかった。本を借りに来たんだけどさ、いつもよりも早く上がったみたいで借りられなかったんだよな。ちょいと処理してくれないか？
She puts the book I was reading a bit ago, the Natsume Soseki collection, on top of the desk. I take out the card and begin checking it out for her.
無駄足にならなくてよかったぜ。ま、もともと足は動かないけど
It's
な。
very easy to read the minds of some people. Yaekaki throws out one of her usual I hate that fucking word. Self-deprecatory jokes, but I'm too distracted with my own troubles to respond. I finish checking out the book and hand the Soseki collection to Yaekaki, who lets out a small sigh.
またゾロ面倒ごとか？お前は本当に背負い込みやすいやつだよな。
That's because she's the main character.
別にそんなことありませんって面じゃないだろ。私悩んでますって顔面だけじゃなく全身に書いてあるってな感じだぞ。耳なし法一ってな具合じゃないかよ。で、今回はなんだ？マカが窃盗騒ぎでも起こしたか？
The way of putting it elicits a giggle from me. Laughing makes me feel a little bit better, and I admit to her that it has to do with my amitié partners.
ああ、九段の交際云々のことだろ。三人組ってのがまずいよな。
Hearing the same word from her as I had from Komikado, I just stare at Yaigaki's face.
おい、勘弁してくれよ。私にその気はない。違うわ。ただ、コミカド先輩と同じことを言うなって思ったから。あの美人な先輩にすでに悩み相談は済ませたってわけだ。で、どんな風に解決策を言ったわけ？
I tell her how Komikado told me that thinking hard about my problem would open up a way for the three of us to get along. Yaigaki listens passively at first, but by the time I finish talking, her face is scrunched up like she bit into a lemon and she curses bitterly.
みんなが仲良くできる道がある？おお、ご立派な子って。さすがは宗教学校の副会長様だ。なら、八重垣さんはどう思うの？そりゃ私に相談しているのか？
Maybe. I nod and she sticks out her tongue and makes a sour expression.
性格の悪い私が相談って柄じゃないのは分かっているだろうよ。人を見てしろってのは。私は八重垣さんが悪い人だなんて思ってないわ。相談を受けたらきちっと相手のことを考えて答えを返せる人だと思っているわ。私が？
Yes, you. Who else? I nod slowly and emphatically. She scratches her head and mutters, "What a pain in the neck."
私は宗教者じゃないから眼蓄ある言葉なんて言えないし密な関係を持ったことがないから
But
実
there
体
it is.
験
She's
なん
not
てのはない。
religious. Yet she still goes here.
You have to go home. Okay, thank you.
だから説得力なんてのは皆無だがそれでも聞くかい？
Yes, I answer. What can you do? She sighs and scratches her brow with her slim finger.
これは私自身もその考え方はいいなと思った。いわゆる小話みたいなものだけどそれを事の始まりはある女と男が賭けをしたんだ。
Okay.
賭け？男はこのトランプの一番上の札を当てられたらお前の勝ち、外したら負け、その
Oh,
時
why
は
would
全
you
財産を
play
も
it
ら
out
う
that though?
と言っ
If you win, you just win. But if you lose, you also lose all of your money and everything. But you gain nothing from winning.
た。対する女は分かったわ。
Ah.
私が勝ったらあなたが騙して奪った私の恋人の債権をすべて返してもらう。一番上はハートのエースだと告げた。
Miyagaki turns the book over on her knee as though it were a card and continues.
一番上の札は宣言した通り見事ハートのエースだった。女は約束通り恋人の債権をすべて取り戻した。恋人は女に聞いたんだ。勝ったからいいようなもののなんであんな不利な賭けを受けたんだってね。女はこう言ったよ。不利？なぜ？勝負は勝つか負けるか二つに一つでしょうってな。
What do you mean? The odds are 1 to I don't know how many thousands or millions of people. I either win the lottery or I don't. 50-50. She finishes the story and turns the book right side up again.
この小話の笑いどころは男は確率のことを言い女は運命を語った。だけど私が思うにこの話の美点は物事に本当の本当に大切なことで中庸ってことはないってことさ。
She's like, oh, I'm not religious. I can't say anything profound, and then hits us with all this.
表か裏か決めなくちゃいけない時は必ず来る。誰にもいい顔なんてのはさできないんだ。リカさん、まゆりさん。
Mikado said there would be a way for all three of us to get along, but Yagyaki's saying that that's too good to be true.
なあ白羽、お前はどう思う？
No, I believe her. Yagaki asked me this, and I
決断をしなくちゃいけないのかもしれない。
tried to meditate and to keep our relationship from changing, but
サイは投げられてしまった。決まったみたいだな。八重垣さんの話を聞いてリッカさんとしっかり話をしてみようと思う。やっぱり
a chorus relationship.
今の状況はおかしいと思うもの。ま、そうお前が決めたなら進んでみればいい。間違ったとしても自分で決めたんだ。悔いはないだろ。
She flashes me her cat-like smile in the light of the setting sun. I thank her with the bow of my hand. Suddenly her smug— oh my god, that's 2 in a row! Her smug cat face disappears and I catch a glimpse of an expression appropriate to her age.
やめろ。私は感謝されるっていうのが一番苦手なんだよ。
She waves her hands and turns her face away. I can see her profile redden, and I don't think it's merely the sunlight.
She's so cute.
I love Erica. In a dormitory hallway, 2 students are talking. One with silver hair, the
リッ
other...
カさん。
I call out to her, finally having found the amitié partner I was looking for.
あら、奇遇ね。
Anna! We both live in this dormitory. What do you mean?
君も議論に参加してはどうだい？
Wow, 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 wow. My fervor is somewhat dampened by encountering this unusual pairing, but I tell Dika that I need to talk.
私にご用？今話をしていて。
国語の教科書の中でどの作者が真面目に戦ったら一番強いかを議論していたところなんだ。
Not even Monica!
そんな話はしていません。聖母祭での話
I
をして
think
い
that
たん
would
で
be
す。
funny though. Like, think about who would win in a fight between two people who are not usually the fighting type. Who would win?
僕としては三島由紀夫あたりを推したいが、スオ君は
As she gets going on this endless tangent, Dika asks if it's something urgent.
そう。八代先輩、お話はここまでにしていいでしょうか。
そうか。それでは九段の議論は宿題ということにしておこう。
With a wave of her hand, she strides jauntily away, giving us no time to argue. We watch in mute amazement as she disappears into the distance.
行きましょうか。
My initiative snatched from me, I do as Dika says and follow after her. What? An empty classroom? I didn't think you would call on me, Sue, she says.
ここなら静かだし、誰にも邪魔されないと思う。もうそろそろ学院から出なくちゃいけない時間だし。
They were just hugging. Is this going to take long? She asks as I'm still struggling to speak.
いざ話すとなると、誰もいない教室ってなんか変な
Girl,
感じ
I'm
がす
not
るわ
going
ね。
to start doing funny things with you. I'm here to break up. She looks happily around the classroom, dyed scarlet in the light of the setting sun. I have no idea how to broach the topic.
交際をやめ、まゆりさんと仲直りするように言うつもりだったけど。
I can't think of a single word to say, let alone voice the ones I had prepared. She smiles happily, and the more she smiles at me, the stiffer my lips grow and the heavier my heart gets.
ねえ、教室の中がこんなに黄色に染まってすごく美しいと思わない？
Spinning around is a beautiful sight, and for a moment it's the only thing that fills my eyes and my heart until it's replaced by a hopeless sadness. As though I've come to realize that I'm alone in this world.
スオ。
The happy expression clouds over, and when she looks into my eyes, all the emotion drains from her face like a wave pulling back from the sand, leaving it an emotionless mask. She knows the reason I've called her here, what it is I want to talk about.
呼び出した理由を聞かせてもらえるかしら。
I sense a quiet anger in her controlled words. With her animosity turned toward me, I start to choke up and have difficulty breathing.
察してもらおうと思っているの。
Can you give me like a second? I hate it when people are like, oh, do you want to tell me what this is about? And then they don't even give you like a chance to actually collect your words. Like, damn, bitch, give me a minute.
あなたの言葉で聞きたいの。黙って分かってもらおうなんて卑怯だわ。
Said, give me a minute. She walks forward one step at a time as though pushing into my mind.
私、あなたが何を言おうとしているか当ててみましょうか。
Girl, what's your fucking problem?
リカさんをつけないでと言ったでしょ。ねえスオ、あなた私とした約束を保護にしたい、そう言いに来たのよね。
She says the words I can't bring myself to. My lips tremble and I'm unable to say anything.
その顔、やっぱりそうなのね。私やっぱりこんな風に交際をするのは。
When she finally comprehends the words I've managed to squeeze out, she turns eyes on me so tragic I can hardly stand to look at them.
そう。あなたも私を必要としないの
And
ね。
would you look at that?
ねえ、スオ。あなたは私には逆らえない。それは分かっているわよね。まゆりさんの秘密を漏らしてはならない。でしょ。
You're a fucking coward, Dika. You coward. Mayuri's secret. Even if the academy is rather tolerant of homosexuality, Mayuri's secret would surely spread beyond its walls if revealed. She would leave the academy for sure.
まゆりさん
The melancholy girl standing under the cherry trees I saw that night. She'll disappear from me. The thought lights a small spark of anger within me.
今日だわ
My words shake, Rika. I myself shuddered using such a strong word and my lips tremble. Such a strong word! Coward!
そうね。私は卑怯かもしれない。
違う
でもね、私にはそうしなくてはならない理由があるの。そう知られても私は
I searched the sorrowful eyes behind the glasses for her true intentions.
私はあなたを失いたくない。あなたまでいなくなったら私は
Get the fuck away from me. She grabs my arm and I let out a yelp. The sound only fans the flames of her fury.
私だってこんな真似は
Well, you are, though.
卑怯な真似はしたくないわ。
You are coward.
リカ
でもだってしょうがないでしょ。私はいつだって比較されて生きてきた。花火師の家に引き取られて努力して優秀であろうとしたって。
リカさんの
Oh, she's adopted? And clutching my arm trembles like she can't keep up with the emotions spilling out of her.
兄の方が私よりも優秀で、せっかく引き取ったのに意味がないって。私には居場所がないの。元の家にも花火師の家にも。
So got to do with me, though. The hand grasping me is merciless. Grimacing at the intense grip, I speak to her as though admonishing a child.
そんなことないわ。私にはリカが必要よ。
でもだって
I stare unflinchingly back into her desperate eyes and speak
居
clearly.
場所がないって言ったわよね。それは私も同じなの。父が再婚して新しい母からはとても。私はね、リカ。この学院に来たのは新しい居場所、友人が欲しかったからなの。
That's why I came to a school with the amitié system, I continue.
アミティエ制度があるから、私は高坂まゆりさんに花火師リッカさんに出会うことができた。私の居場所はここなの。無理に交際しなくても、私にもリッカにも居場所はある。
She trembles at my words and after some hesitation looks up at me pitifully.
そうね。求めなくても私は認められていた。
It's different from at home, she adds, and I reply, that's right.
でも私が居場所としてあなたを求めたのは確かだけど、好きな人として求めたのも変わらない。スオ
Will you accept me? Yes, I whisper. She cups my cheeks in her soft hands and turns her watery eyes toward me. Then she quietly closes her eyes. She was blackmailing you! I accept it. I feel she wants some proof to symbolize it.
彼女の心を救うためなら。
No! 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 Stop! 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 She emotionally bared her home situation to me. There was probably no lie in her words. She was adopted into a family and pushed to excel. However, though she excelled, there was someone more intelligent, her little brother to whom she was always compared. It must have been a terrible, sad, and painful life. That is why The emotion I feel vanishes as I feel something warm on my cheek. Tears. Crying. Why? For myself? For circumstances? No.
まゆりさん。
In my mind's eye, I see her standing under the cherry trees. Suddenly overcome by an emotion I myself don't even understand, I pull away from Nika. It is like those ASMR roleplays. The lips seem to move, forming the word Y. After casting my eyes downward with an apology, all I can do is flee from that hateful red room. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
さあ行きましょう。
Nika Hanabishi says, nonchalant but not aloof.
え
I answer, and together with the Sasaki twins, we head to the classroom. Yesterday, the kiss meant to show I had accepted her.
拒んでしまった。
It must have been shocking for her to be rejected. Even so,
ちょっといたずらするのやめなさい。
she approaches Ichigo, who keeps playing with her braids as they bounce off her back with each step forward.
ついつい動いているのを見つけるとどうもね。
動いているものに反応するなんて猫じゃないんだから。
猫は八重垣ちゃんのお箱ですよ。奪ってはダメ。
I'll count that as one toward the Yaigaki cat counter. The interaction with the Sasakis is not forced, and there's no change in her attitude toward me. And the relationship between Nika and Mayuri, which I tried to talk to her about
ク
yesterday.
ラスメートのみんなも気づいてはいるけれど。
Everyone had started noticing the weakening relationship between the two, who are both such central figures to the class. But I seem to think it's just Mayuri being polite because of the relationship between Nika and me.
何も変わってはいない。
What happened in the classroom at twilight, what I said, still hasn't changed anything. That nothing has changed means it hasn't gotten worse, which is good, but
でもこの
it also hasn't improved.
ねえスオ。
I flinch in surprise as someone suddenly calls my name. Ichigo laughs at my obviously startled reaction, and Ringo looks at me with suspicion.
何かしら。
今日の放課後の合唱部の練習だけれど、
Oh,
まゆりさんは参加できないらしいの。
that is unfortunate. My heart thumps faster.
どうして？
なんでも美術部の先輩から清掃の順番を変わったらしいの。だから、今日の合唱部の練習には参加できないと連絡があったのよ。
そう。
I thought perhaps a change had started occurring without my realizing it, but it seems my fears are imagined.
まゆりさんを話す時の態度も変わらなかった。
I let out a small, unnoticeable sigh and forced myself to smile back at her. Practice same as usual. The only thing that's changed is the state of my fingers. Though I am concentrating hard on the accompaniment so that my stepmother doesn't appear, the performance is somehow bland. I play all the right notes, but it does not seem like a human playing. It seems Komikado has noticed something is off, but since it is not a problem of technique, all she does is furrow her brows and look at me.
ミスはなくなったけれど。
I made no mistakes, but my unease is coming through because of the Cold War happening between my amitié partners. The instant my mind starts wandering to thoughts of what I should do, the shadow of my stepmother rises up. She appears before me like a ghost, which is better than her peering at me through the keyboard, but I take in a deep breath and focus back on the keys, then the loud sound of the cathedral door being flung open makes my stepmother's shadow disappear and my fingers come to a stop.
主の見前で想像し、失礼ですよ。
The upperclassman who's come rushing in flinches at Komikado's unusually sharp admonishment, as though she had been struck by lightning. Like an emissary carrying an important message, she rushes to Komikado's side and whispers something in her ear.
何かこれは。
どうしたのかしら。
Nika whispers, apparently having the same bad feeling about this as I am. The cathedral, wrapped in red sunlight like the classroom yesterday, is completely silent as we watch Komikado whispering. It's like a scene from a fresco painting, I think, but it probably dissolves as they finish up and the upperclassman she was whispering with leaves. The scene changes to a portrait of Komikado thinking to herself with her hand on her chin.
どうされたのですか？
When Nika, unable to stand the silence, speaks, the ice breaks and I feel as though the whole room has breathed a sigh.
急いで。けど、
コミカド部長？
スオさん、
Yes, I answer automatically upon hearing my name.
私と一緒に来てもらえるかしら。
She says. What happened? He's been dead for a long time and didn't even know it. Who's dead? The sight of her in the nurse's office is ghastly. To make matters worse, the white of the nurse's office burns red in the sunset, painting the girl lying in bed the color of blood. No, what I thought was blood only looks like blood because of her shoes. Because her shoes, which were removed when she was put in the bed, appeared to be covered in blood. That is why I imagined the worst case scenario. Komikado had heard the story before and must be thinking the same thing. No, her face is paler than mine as she looks at the figure lying in bed, her head wrapped in bandages. Komikado murmurs her name and then steps towards her. As we draw nearer, I realize the red on her boots and staining the floor is not blood, but red clay. I can tell when Komikado steps on it. I hear her whisper in a shaky voice as though she's about to cry at any moment.
大丈夫かしら
She whispers, and thinking back on Yatsushiro's condition, I assure her that there's no need to worry.
頭の怪我だから大げさに見えるだけよ。あの八代先輩だもの。すぐにケロッとした顔で戻ってくるわよ。
Rika nods, her tense expression unchanged despite my joking words.
でも、頭の怪我なんて転んでしまったのかしら。何か取ろうとして高いところに登ってとかも考えられるけど。
Yatsushiro is so agile. For her to make such a mistake, it's hard to imagine.
それじゃあどうして
That is why I'm assailed by this pressing feeling of doubt.
学院での治療でなく町に降りて見てもらうなんて
Oh wow.
ひどいように思えるけど。
Oh yeah, what do they do if someone actually gets sick? They don't have any doctors here. They have a school nurse, sure, but...
さっきも言ったけど頭の怪我だから大事をとってたと思う。きっと大丈夫よ。そうね。そうだといいわ。
Contrary to my comforting words, I feel a sense of apprehension.
ここに決まっているけど。
I gaze at the scarlet campus and repress the burning apprehension inside me. I mean, what happened? The reason for my apprehension soon becomes apparent. The day after Yatsushiro is taken to the hospital, in a classroom before morning prayers, the class seems agitated and distracted.
そうちゃん大変なんだよ。
What?
どうしたの？なんだかおかしな雰囲気だけど。さっき先生たちがたくさん来て、ユリを連れて行っちゃったんだ。これって。
Took. In my mind's eye, I could see Mayuri's pained face from last night when we told her about Yatsushiro's injury. Don't tell me. Is it to do with Yatsushiro-senpai? Yatsushiro's serious injury from yesterday instantly comes to mind.
そんな。
Though the thought comes to me like a bad joke, I shake it off. Even if it's a joke, it's not one I can laugh at.
ゆりさんが八代先輩の事故と関係しているなんて。やっぱり知っているんだ。
The way she says it puts me at a loss for words.
昨日の八代先輩の事故。実は事故じゃないかもしれないって話なのです。そう。なんでも学院のエントランス前で倒れていた八代先輩の言葉から事故ではないと分かったらしくて。
Oh! Not an accident. And Mayuri's a suspect? Ringo's squeezing my hand tightly for some reason, and she's speaking very quickly about something. I just stare vacantly at her face. Her voice sounds like music being played far away, and I feel a fog sweep over me. What's happening? We're here to report, the twins say in unison. The report, yes, the reporter helps Selfer to clear up this misunderstanding. This morning, the reason the teachers came to take Mayuri away turned out to be as the twins had guessed. She'd been suspected as Yasuhira, Yatsushiro's assailant. Because witnesses who saw the teachers take Mayuri away ran their mouths, the entire school knew about it before class even finished. The victim has many fans, so people are turning against her, but maybe because the students here are rational and don't like to speculate, no one is so rude as to ask about it directly. However...
そうちゃん。大丈夫？顔色悪いよ。ごめんなさい。平気よ。でも悪いわね。佐々木さんたちに情報を聞き出してくるようなことを頼んで。それは別にいい。まゆりさんとアミティエのスオちゃんが話を聞きに行ったら警戒されると言ったのはこっちだし。そうそう。じっと待っている方が辛いってこともあるし。
I find it really fascinating that everyone can always tell when Sue is not feeling well. I tell the two who are genuinely worried about me that I'm fine and thank them. Ichigo smiles brightly and says no problem, then scratches the tip of her nose.
最近ユリとあんまり仲良くなさそうに見えていたから心配だったけどさ、こういうことになってスオちゃんが疑惑を晴らそうって私たちに言ってくれたこと、実は少し嬉しかったんだよね。やっぱりスオちゃんとまゆりさん、りっちゃんさんは3人仲良くしないとダメだと思う。
How's like his friend hunting going? Oh, one of them blackmailed us into kind of dating her, but otherwise it's going fine. How are you doing?
そうだね。本当にそう。
Warm floods my chest at the knowledge that they've been watching us.
りっちゃんさんはどうしているの？まゆりさんを心配していないわけがないわ。でも彼女は聖母役に選ばれていたでしょ。だから合唱部の2回夜の会とのセッションに回ってくれている
Doing
の。
well on your way to bed after a busy day. Oh, that's good. Get some rest.
Thank you for coming by.
そっか。付き合い始めだからよそよそしくなっただけで、3人の仲は
I
変わ
don't
っていない
think
んだ
I
ね。
can quite agree with that, but sure. Although the question trips me slightly, I nod.
でもりっかさんがまゆりさんのために動いてくれるなんて。
She went out of her way to prevent the rumors from developing into bullying without me even having to ask. I was pleasantly surprised with how she talked with the students and asked them to look out for Mayuri. She knows the three of us are amitié partners after all.
それでボス、聞き込みしてきた話なんだけど、聞きますかい？
What you hear will be catching wind of.
なぜ日産族風？
She says that she thought she was talking like a detective, to which Ringo and I shake our heads.
それじゃどこから話したらいい？疑惑を晴らそうって言っても噂話を集
Well,
めただ
rumors
けだ
have
し、
some kind of root in the truth sometimes, so.
大体のところはスオちゃんも知っているわけだしね。そうね、大まかな流れは知っているけれど細かな機微も知りたいから、まずはなぜまゆりさんが疑われることになったのか話してくれる？
At this question, Ichigo taps her temple and begins with, "Here's how it all started."
ユリが疑われることになったのは、エントランス前で倒れていた八代先輩を見つけた上級生がある言葉を聞いたからなんだ。
How you doing?
気を失う前に上級生へ言ったダイイングメッセージは、桜がという言葉。
What's that have to do with her?
いや、ダイイングって八代先輩は亡くなってないですよ。犯人を教えるための言葉って意味じゃないの？まあいいや。
Your pronouns and shit, that's sick, isn't it? That's cool, right? I like it a lot. Hi, Dad times 2. Hi, Bird. I'm also good. We're now going to try and solve what happened to our schoolmate who collapsed. And now people are saying that apparently it was not an accident, but on purpose.
と
We
に
don't
か
think
く
that's true.
意味深なことを言って倒れた八代先輩を保健室に運び治療を受ける段になって、これは事故ではないとなった。
Up to this point, it is not much different from the rumors spreading around campus, including Yatsushiro saying Sakura.
事故ではない理由として、頭の怪我が細長い棒、角材のようなもので
Oh
横
shit!
なぎに殴られた跡があったから。これは保健室の先生に聞いたから間違いない。養護教諭とは仲良くなかったから聞き出せなかったんだよね。これは体の弱いリンゴのお手柄だね。
She tells Ringo, who is bursting with pride, that this was very useful information.
頭へ横なぎに。それは前頭部？後頭部かしら？後ろの真ん中らへんだって
In
言っ
the
ていた。
back of the... Oh! Well, that really doesn't sound like an accident anymore. I see, I nod. If that is true, it is highly unlikely that Yatsushiro would have seen her as silent.
そこから一気に事件だって流れになった。 気を失ったままの八代先輩を町の病院へ送ってからあと、上級生が聞いた桜がという声から犯人探しが始まった。
But how did I get from Sakura to
わかりやすくとい
Mayuri?
うよりも当たり前だけど、桜の名前、名字を持つ生徒を呼び出し、教師陣は話を聞いたってわけ。
Oh, because of the way her name is written?
呼び出された生徒、人数はわかる？1年生。私たちのクラスだけど、桜の読みが
I
入っ
mean,
た
I
生徒はい
wouldn't
な
know
い。
if she has a kanji in her name or
でも
something. We
上
wouldn't
級
know,
生
but
にはいたですよ。2年生は1人、3年生は2人、計3人。2年生はさくらりょうさん、3年生は高橋桜子さんと桜木里央先輩。
I open my notebook and write down the names.
それで怪我をした時間、怪我の具合、これは保健の先生が血の乾き具合から
Generally
判
don't
断したら
remember
しい。
what this was all about.
そこから放課後の17時から18時の間となった。アリバイの証明となったわけ。
They all had
の
alibis.
アリバイって言葉言ってみたかったんだよね。で、3人とも八代先輩が襲われた時刻には鉄壁のアリバイがあったわけ。さくらりょうさんは天文部の出し物の用意で部室にいたのを全員が証明したし、高橋桜子さんもクラスの出し物を手伝って同乗。桜木里央先輩に至ってはうちの料理部の先輩で、やっぱりその時間は部室にいたって証明されたんだよね。
It was impossible that any of them could have attacked Yatsushiro. If Sakura had nothing to do with the assailant's name.
桜という言葉が名前でないとしたら、と教師陣は考えた。これがユリにはまずかったんだよね。桜と聞いたら場所を連想するのは仕方ないわ。
And she
この
was
学
there?
園には見事な桜並木があるし。
That's a pretty weak thing to... The place where I first met Mayuri.
たまたま美術部の先輩から桜並木の清掃を頼まれていたまゆりさんは注目
But
される
that's
こ
such
と
a
になった。
weak way to be like, oh, you're a suspect now.
つまり八代先輩が言った桜が
Nah.
桜並木で襲われたという言葉を言おうとしていたと曲解されたのです。
It may be roundabout, but that's where it leads. If it was not the name, it is likely the place. However,
これもアミティエが絡んでいなければだけど。ユリが疑われる原因となったのはアリバイを証明してくれる人がいなかったこと。桜並木の清掃の際、誰も通らなかった。17時過ぎ。正確な時間は曖昧だけど、そこを通りかかったダリア先生が
分かった
見てたらしいけど、それも一瞬だけ。証明にはならない。とりあえず放課後仕入れてきたのはこれくらいだけど、何か分かった？新しい情報は頭の傷が角材のようなもので後頭部を殴打されたこと。桜の読みをバスキア教諭が17時から18時の
that's quite a lot
間
of
に
new
一
information
度ま
though.
ゆりさんを見かけていることかな。抜き出してみると何か取っかかりになるものが入っている気がするね。どれが？それはわからないけど。
Ichigo puts her hands behind her head and teasingly asks her sister, what the heck, while I think hard about a way to clear Mayuri of
八
suspicion.
代先輩を襲った犯人を見つける。
No. If our goal is to clear Mayuri's name, we don't need to find a suspect. We just need evidence that it could not have been Mayuri.
この切り口から何かできないかしら。
Ichigo offers her opinion on what would be the easiest option.
八代先輩が目を覚まして言ってくれれば早いんだよね。
Yeah,
誰
but
々が
even if
犯人だって。
even if she was assaulted and it was by someone from behind her, it might be very hard for her to tell.
それはそうだけど。頭の怪我だし、しばらくは入院するんじゃないかなと思う。
It'll be long enough for Mayuri to be under
何週間
suspicion
とい
and
う
people
話じゃ
are
ない
going
だ
to
ろう
start
けど。
avoiding her. Although right now most students are being rational and would not say anything hurtful to her face, if we wait too long, the winds might change.
ただでさ 聖母役として異例の抜擢と注目されていた。
Ah. The situation right now is a bed of nails.
これからどうしやす？何かいい案は浮かびやしたか、親分。山賊風続けるんだ。とにかく一度現場だと言われている桜並木の場所へ行ってみようと思う。現場100遍だね。
The fucking what now?
変わった言葉は知っているんだろうね。
I'm sorry, what? Try Gulch. Tag? Attack and kill from ambush in a deserted place. Huh? Take care not to be dry gauche after the bend stranger. I have never heard that before in my life. It's American regional. And I don't know what the other one is supposed to be called. Oh. Okay. We learned something new today. I did. I smile at Dingo's words and tell them I want to look for traces of blood by the cherry trees.
血の跡？頭の怪我だとちょっとした怪我でも血が大量に出るわ。もし本当に桜並木で襲われたなら血の跡があるはずよ。
The twins nod and I bow my head to them in gratitude for their help.
だからそんな必要ないって。好きで手伝ってるんだからさ。友達なら当然。
My eyes blur at the Sasaki's words and I thank them. Then we head to the cherry trees to clear Mayuri's name. We didn't find anything, murmurs Ichigo as she washes my arm.
思いつきだったし仕方がないわ。
I answer Ichigo, who, perhaps wanting to look after me, had declared she would wash me and is washing my arm for me.
でも見つからないっていうのが逆におかしくない？頭の怪我は少しの怪我でも血が出るって本
I
当
mean,
でしょ？
maybe it wasn't the place.
だったら桜並木からエントランス付近までの間に血の跡がない方がおかしいよ。
She's right, I think. If she was injured to the point of losing consciousness, there should have been lots of blood.
実は伝え忘れていたことがあったのです。
Ninko's finished washing her hair and comes over to me. She deliberately lathers up some soap, then takes my free arm and starts washing it.
保健の先生から聞いていた
We're in the
ことだ
shower
けど
room.
話し忘れていたの
Some
ですよ。
sussy things happening in the shower room.
八代先輩はエントランスで倒れていた時スポーツタオルを持っていて、それで頭を押さえて。なんだ、それじゃあ血が滴っていなくてもおかしくないじゃん。ごめん。
Ninko droops when reproached by her sister. I comfort her as she continues washing my arm, telling her it's fine, since it was not just blood I was looking for.
どういうこと？私が小見門先輩に連れられて保健室に行った際、目を引くものがあったの。八代先輩が寝かされていたベッドの下に
So they don't drop their soup.
その周辺が土で汚れていた。
Their soup bar?
靴についていた土と桜並木での土が一致するか調べていたわけか。でもそれってまずい具合だよね。
You're good. No worries. I knew what you meant. When Ninko asks why, she just repeats that it's a predicament.
この学院って敷地内は基本的に芝生か石畳が敷き詰められているよね。靴底に土がついてたってことは、襲われた場所は土がむき出しのところだったってことでしょ？桜並木の場所は芝生で覆われていないし、余計に怪しく思わ
Drop
れ
your
るんじゃ
soup.
ない
That's
か
also a
な。
good idea. Yeah.
靴についていた土のことは黙っていた方が賢明だね。そうね。
The situation is not going in Mayuri's favor. The Sasakis, who believe in Mayuri's innocence, grow quiet and stop washing me. Ichigo, who is now in low spirits, gestures that they're done washing me, proceeds to rinse me off in the shower. As I sit there in silence, Ringo murmurs, but...
状況証拠だけ見るとまゆりさんが怪しいのは確かだけど、やっぱ
I
り
think they should look at this from a different angle.
だっていうのは
Because
おかし
there's
いと
not a lot
思
of
う。
places in the school where the ground is not paved or whatever. They should check every single one of the places where you could get dirt on your shoes because there aren't a lot of them.
どうして？だって動機がないもの。普通人を殴るなんてよほどのことがない限りしないことですよ。まゆりさんと八代先輩の間に暴行事件になるような動機があったとは思
She's
え
right.
ない。
I thought the same thing.
まあ部も違うしクラス委員長でもないから頻繁に顔を合わせる間柄でもないしね。喧嘩するようなほどの関係でもないか。
For feelings towards someone to turn to hate requires a close, intimate relationship to start with. Quarrels and violence don't happen between mere acquaintances.
肩がぶつかったぶつからないで殴り合いをするほど子供でもないし。
I love as I imagine Yatsushiro and Mayuri, improbably as mafia thugs.
ほら、スオちゃんが笑うほどありえない話なんだよ。そうか。だよね。私たちはユリを信じてあげなくちゃ。
As I smiled at the twins burning with passion, I hit upon a possibility of a motive that would push Mayuri to hurt Yatsushiro.
まゆりさんは絶対に漏らしたくない秘密がある。
If Yatsushiro somehow knew about Mayuri's sexuality and was going to tell people, it is not
そ
impossible.
んなことはないよね。まゆりさん。
No, I don't. I murmur as if to spit out something bitter as I watch droplets from my hair fall into the towel. I'm full of regret. Okay? As Dika had once said, she's intelligent and thoughtful, yet aloof. She has a strong personality and won't let herself be hurt by anyone. That is why, without her even asking, all I wanted to do was clear up the misunderstanding surrounding her as soon as possible. But I now realize that she, Mayuri Kosaka, is no different from us. She's just a
来て
girl.
くれたんだ。
I can tell how wary she is just from her voice. My footsteps are faint, quickly swallowed by the darkness. Her shape detaches itself from the shadows, and her expression tells me she's going to say exactly what I predicted.
二人とも呼び出してすまない。でも部屋で明日の予習の合間にって話でもなかったからね。
Then, for some reason, she smiled softly.
私は聖母役を辞退しようと思っているんだ。
She announces.
何を言っているの？もう決まったことじゃない。
Lika says resolutely, but there's a quiver to her voice. Lika and I had not been treating her as a girl our own age. We treated her as transcendental, untouchable. That is why we're unable to be ourselves in front of her now in a weakened state. Oh, it's decided, is it? She mutters, the corners of her mouth contorting.
確かに私は聖母役の大役を受けた。だが今はあの時とは状況が違う。私は神に仕える順法者ではなく裏切り者のユダに等しい。
八代先輩を襲った犯人だと疑われているから。
疑われている？ずいぶん優しいことを言ってくれるね。私はとっくに犯人だと思われているものだと捉えていたのに。
Nika sounded speechless by these unexpectedly self-depreciating words and looks at Mayuri with pity in her eyes.
私はね、リッカ。君に恨まれているんじゃないかって思っているんだ。君も望んでいただろう聖母役を私が奪ってしまったんだからね。
そんなこと
ないか？私にはそう思えなかった。私を見るリッカの目は恨みがましいものに見えていたんだよ。
Perhaps Lika can't refute what Mayuri says as she looks down at the ground, her eyes filled with a jumble of emotion.
それだ。君をそうさせてしまうことが辛いんだ。
She's holding back a torrent of emotions, which is on the verge of bursting out of her. She looks to Lika and then to me.
スオさんには以前語ったことがあるけれど、少し昔語りを聞いてくれるかな。
With that, she begins talking about her past, a story she's already told to me.
両親が離婚して自暴自棄になった私へと父は家政婦を雇い入れた。あの頃の私は今思い返してみてもひどく乱暴でいけすかない子供だった。
Mayuri tells the story of the courageous nanny who raised her. Yes, the conclusion of the story is...
以前と同じように振る舞えるようになれた頃には私はその人を好きにな
Well,
っていたんだ。
technically, Rika already knows this. Mayuri's earnest voice as she lays bare the past she'd been trying to hide puts Rika's gaze from the floor. She looks into Mayuri's eyes as she awaits her next words.
私が好きな相手というのはね、女性だ。君とよく似たね。どうだい、救えない話だろ。
Seeing her trying to find the words to say, Mayuri smiled cynically.
私はリッカ、君に好きだったあの人の面影を見ていたんだ。学院に入り思いは捨て去ったと思っていたけれど、君と仲良くなればなるほどあの人と同一視してしまった。だから他の旧友が君と仲良くしているのを見て嫉妬したこともある。
I recall a conversation I'd overheard between her and Rika in the
あ
back.
の時の言葉の真意は、
そうさ、嫉妬だ。スオさんと交際すると聞いて胸をかきむしられるほどに苦しみ、
Well, funny story. About that.
そして聖母役を奪ったことで憎悪の目を向けられた。私はもう耐えられないんだ。だからもう降りても聖母なんてものを演じなくてもいいだろう。
She moves forward imploringly, walking toward Rika on unsteady legs. She looks like an infant taking its first step toward her mother, and also like a ghost. Rika takes a step back, feeling the pressure as Mayuri draws near. Her refusal to accept her is obvious in her posture. Mayuri stops dead in her tracks, her expression sorrowful as a wolf howling at the moon.
そうか、そうだな。
このままじゃ。
自分でも受け入れられないんだ。そんな私を受け入れてもらおうなんておこがましい。
あゆりさんは私のようになってしまう。
Her resigned expression says she's given up on everything. She has nothing left.
私が憧れた人に。
すまなかった。も
待って。
Enduring the feeling that the lid is about to come off the container I'd forced my memories of my stepmother into, I call out to stop Mayuri as she turns away. As if noticing my presence for the first time, she mutters an apology.
う二度もつまらない話を聞かせてしまった。君には関係のないことなのにね。
I don't want her to end up like me.
関係ないことなんてない。
何を。
私たちはアミティ。いえ、そんな綺麗事はやめましょう。私はまゆりさんに憧れていた。私はあなたになりたかった。だから
Weighed down by the pain of my childhood memories, with a feeling akin to his despair, I start to speak.
まゆりさんは自分の過去を吐露し、受け入れられないと言っていたけれど、私にとってあなたの過去は自分と似ているの。だから拒絶なんてしないわ。したいとも思わない。
似ている。口から出まかせを言わないでくれ。
温室でまゆりさんは私の言葉を聞いたでしょ。温室で何を。
Mayuri saw and heard me begging my stepmother for forgiveness. She opens her mouth but closes it again, as if biting the air.
私もね、まゆりさん。片親で育てられているの。5歳の時に母と死別し、そして7歳の時、父は母と再婚した。 連れ子である兄と一緒に白羽の家のものになったわ。そう。
音楽家だったっていうお母さん。
When I look over at the piano in the cathedral, my stepmother is there sneering at me.
1年ほどは仲睦まじく、とは言えなくとも平凡な家庭として過ごしたわ。でも私がピアノを習い始めたことで崩れていったの。兄と私は、兄の方が演奏歴は長かったのだけど、私は要領が良かったのね。すぐある程度は父も喜んだし、私も誇らしかった。
Oh no, because she was better than the son. I stop to take a breath, look away from my sneering stepmother and smile at Dika, who's looking on with frightened eyes.
私が上手に弾きこなせばこなすほど指導は厳しくなった。
でもそれは上手になってほしいという教えだったのでしょ？
Was it? Or was it to make her stop trying to play it? I force a smile and Nika goes silent. Perhaps she's figured out the answer. The only one sneering at me is the shadow standing just behind her.
都合3年、ピアノの指導は続いた。ようやく父が異変に気づいた時には、私は、
Her eyes, which had seen my body in the bath, glimmer with suspicion. But Mayuri, who had seen me in the greenhouse, her lips move slightly, forming the words, "Her wounds are on her heart."
肉体的なものではないわ。心が病んでしまったのよ。母がいなくなって数年経つけれど、今もピアノの前に立つと、私はあの人の
I
影を見
guess
て
they're all
しまう。
sharing the trauma right now.
おしんを覚え、
だからあの時ピアノから逃げて。
She looks at me aghast. She must be remembering that first time we visited the choir club.
どうしようもなく母の影を感じてしまうと、ピアノの前に立つと、あの時の指導を思い出してしまう。こらえきれない嫌悪感があふれ、おしんがこみ上げてきてしまうの。
Rika looks terrified. Mayuri, in contrast, is staring at me as though she's finally understood something.
私が絶対に漏らしたくなかった秘密は、泣いていた過去の自分。
そんな。スオさん。
You and I have the same wounds, I think I hear her whisper, her lips trembling slightly. After confessing this thing that I not only didn't want to, but couldn't tell anyone, I feel a strange excitement followed by a sense of relief. There's pianos, yes! Well, in this case, I think it's not technically a piano, but I don't actually know the proper English word for it. Hold on. An organ? Isn't it called an organ? Yeah. Like, wouldn't you have an organ in a cathedral, actually, and not a piano? But who knows? Relieved that I've finally been able to admit it.
ねえ、まゆりさん、リッカ、あなたたちは私を受け入れてくれるかしら。
I don't know why, but my lips turn into a smile. Mayuri's sorrowful expression remains unchanged, and Nika closes her eyes and staggers backward as though unable to bear it anymore. Yes, I had expected this. Pity for Mayuri, who bears the same wounds, and respectable Nika, she probably can't accept me.
自分が抱えている傷を知られるのが怖い。
It scares me even more now that we're not just amitié partners, but real friends. Nika with her eyes and mouth shut. Even after I told her I wanted to break off the relationship, that she continued to think of me fondly made me happy. But
すまない。私の告白がスオさんを追い詰めてしまったんだね。
that's alright.
ええ。まゆりさんがここで告白していなかったのなら、私は自分の抱える傷を誰にも言わず、ずっとしまい込んでいたと思う。
Mayuri goes as silent as Nika at my words. She makes a sad face and I smile at her.
でもね、私が自分のことを告白したのは、私自身のエゴのためなの。さっきも話したけれど、まゆりさんは私の憧れ。ああなりたいと思う。
私なんて。
うんうん。 個を抱えながらしっかりとした子を持ち、みんなから慕われている。余計に憧れるし、すごいことだわ。私はネマよりさ、あなたが今ここで全てを失っては諦めてしまったら、あなたを目指していた私も終わってしまう。そう感じたのよ。
Perhaps because of my intentional cheeriness, her sorrowful expression slowly crumbles and she smiles fleetingly.
私を立ち直らせるのは自分のためか。
そう。だから聖母役を降りるなんて言わないで。私が目指せるあなたでいてほしいの。
I feel that it is better to push my ego forward than to offer clumsy sympathy. However, Mayuri's faint smile remains. Even if I would do it, the people at the academy wouldn't allow it, she mutters.
だから私たちで八代先輩を襲った犯人を見つけるの。
私たち？
それは。
That includes me, Rika says, who's watching us uneasily, and I nod.
アミティエが三人制なのはきっと一人がつまずいた時支えてあげるためのものだと思うの。
Aww.
一人よりも二人で支えた方が倒れずに立ち上がれるでしょ。
Mayuri smiles at my words and Rika blinks. Then, her tense expression softening, Rika says that she has told everyone in class. Mayuri steps forward, takes my hand, and turns that smile I've yearned for, the one like spring sunshine, on me. She looks into my eyes and my tear ducts start to prickle hotly.
ありがとう。
I don't know why I'm about to cry, but I bow my head slightly and I feel the warmth from my body. Okay, one more scene change. You're in the same badger hole as me, Yagaki laughs as she narrows her cat eyes. Oh my... 8.
誤解を解くには仕方がないわ。それに八代先輩のためでもあるのだもの。
They'll understand if you break the rules a little, I say.
たくましくなったもんだな。
With her mean cat... 9. With her mean cat-like smile on her face, she looks to Mayuri Kosaka and Rika Hanabishi and then spins her wheels around. My Amichi partners are looking guilty as they follow after her. The squeaks of her wheelchair sound just like a bat. We advance nervously up the slope to the top floor, worrying that we'll be spotted by a guard or other member of staff. The reason why we, who should be in class since it is a weekday afternoon, are sneaking stealthily down the dorm hallway is because it is critical to finding Yuzuriya Yatsushiro's assailant as we had declared we would yesterday. According to information from a classmate, Yatsushiro was hit on the back of the head with a long square instrument. Sakura was the last word she spoke before she passed out, and there were 3 older students with Sakura in their names. Then there were suspicions about the place it happened. When Mayuri was cleaning around a cherry tree, Sister Basquiat saw her between 5 and 6. Finally, there was the red dirt on her shoes I'd seen in the nurse's office. I shared all this information with my métier partners. The conclusion we'd arrived at from all this intelligence was...
本当に大丈夫なのよね。何がだい、委員長。八代先輩の部屋のことよ。八代ゆずり派の部屋に忍び込むための三段だろ。
They even got the key?
大丈夫だって。ちゃんと部屋の鍵は。
Hi, Raiders, welcome in. Hi, Jin. Hi, how are you doing? I knew I like the color pink, visual novels and JRPGs, and we're currently playing Flowers. Hello, hello. I hope you're good. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for the raid. Thank you for the follows. Thank you. A Pikachu for the raiders, of course.
Pikachu. Pika Pika. Pikachu.
Thank you. Oh, thank you so much for the sub. I hope you you'll sub to that. Hope you enjoy your emotes. Welcome in, everyone. We're currently playing the very first Flower series, and right now we are trying to find out who assaulted our fellow school member by hitting her on the back of the head, causing her to even apparently lose so much blood that she I can talk. She lost consciousness. We don't really know why anyone would do that, but that's what we're trying to find out. And right now we're trying to sneak into her room. Is it a sequel or prequel? No, we're still on the first one. This is the first one. This is the first one. We have not played any others. Because they're sorted by the season. So it's spring, this one. And then summer, autumn, and winter. And winter only came out this year, so it's been a while. This one came out in 2016? 17? Something along those lines. It's been a while since the English translation started. They were tired of her being a dumb lesbian. No! My money is still on it being an accident, actually, and not someone maliciously trying to hit over the head with something. Thank you for the pasta chat! She stops and pulls out an old key she's been sitting on, holding it up for us all to see. Where did she get the key to someone else's room? Right after we put our heads together, we arrived at the question of whether or not Yasuhiro Yatsushiro had any enemies. She'd been hit on the back of the head with a long rectangular object, so she must have been attacked by someone. If it wasn't Mayuri, that must mean there's some other culprit who hurt Yatsushiro.
今日同室のアミティエが風邪で休みとかいうオチはないよね。
それも下調べ済みだって。部屋に誰かいるなら打ち合わせ通り寮で落ち合った時に初めに話してるっての。
Yatsushiro is popular and well-liked. However, people who are popular are also resented by others. As we discussed before, violence doesn't breed without the fertile ground of a close relationship, but with someone as popular as Yatsushiro, it's possible that the intimate feelings were one-sided.
とにかくさっさと行こうぜ。この時間、寮館はバスキア教諭の趣味に付き合っている時間だからな。
Gonna do a little post-log and chill? Of course! Thank you so much for coming by! Get some rest! Good luck with the lesbians, thank you!
ダリア先生の趣味って？
We're trying.
自分と同じ名前の花を育てているんだよ。ダリアさ。笑えるだろ。ほら温室のリンゴの木のそばにあるやつだよ。
I wonder how Erika ended up at the school if she's not religious though. Unlike the other plants, they're growing neatly in a flower bed. Are there others? Mayuri says in a surprised voice.
確か農場のそばにもあったような気が。
へえ、それは知らないけどさ。何でも賞を取るんだとかなんとか言っていたな。寮館も花好きだから、この時間は水やり高に行ってるって話さ。
If that's the case, she probably shouldn't be back before we finish searching the room.
ねえ、おしゃべりはそれくらいにして早く行きましょう。私、
No, you guys have game disease. You need to stop it when you want to talk. You can't do both things at once. Ika rushes us and we hurry off to Yatsushiro's room.
おい、本を落とすなって。置いてあった場所をちゃんと記憶しておけよ。順番間違えて気づかれるとかバカがやることだからな。
Nika nods meekly at Yagaki's veteran words and puts the book back where she found it. The layout of the room and the placement of her belongings isn't that different from that of us first years. The only major differences seem to be the books they're reading and the smell of the room.
脅迫状とかがあれば話は早いんだけどね。
It's the exact same background picture, actually.
そんな足がつくような間抜けはいないと思うぜ。な、血迷って殴りに来るくらいだから、バカな真似をしててもおかしくないか。
Mairi gives an ambivalent smile at Yagaki, who's chuckling. Nika, who's searching the clothes in the chest of the drawers, admonishes the two of them.
遊んでないで早く探して。授業が終わる10分前にはここから退散しなくちゃいけないんだからね。
I see Yagaki stick out her tongue in my peripheral vision. I've been searching the desk, and when I check my watch, I feel the same sense of urgency.
私たちは保健室で寝ていることになっているのだもん。
Ah, the classic, oh, I don't feel so good, can I go to the nurse's office trick? We'd like to discover Skia and skip class. We must finish our search before class ends.
部屋にないってことは病院に持って行ったのかしら。何かめぼしいものはあった？今のと ところはないわね。まゆりさんじゃないけど、日記でもつけていてくれればいいのだけど。ああ、そうね。日記か。
Nika turns her eyes to the notebooks on her desk and frowns guiltily at
手
them.
伝ってくれているだけで奇跡だもんね。
Oh, reading other people's diaries. The Nika, who is a stickler for rules and order, had volunteered to sneak into Yatsushiro's room.
おい、話聞いてなかったのかよ。ごめんなさい。
I rushed to pick up the magazine I've dropped
こ
then.
れって
I look at the soccer magazine, an unusual thing for a girl to have, then remember what Ichigo said before.
八代先輩、サッカーにハマっているって言っていたわよ
Yeah,
ね。
just recently though.
あ、ごめん、聞いてなかったわ。何？
I ask Ika if she remembers the conversation we had with Ichigo.
ええ。
One thing at a time, don't let
確かそんなことを
five
話していたわね。
people have a simple reaction to the
あ
same
の、
film. Oh
それが
god.
何か関係があるの？
Like I know that it's hard to have several people when in the same scene, like be in action all at once. It is hard. But
いえ。
I feel a nagging sense of impatience. There's something. The answer is right on the tip of my tongue. Right, I should go back to the question at the beginning of all this. Based on my experience, first of all, is this an incident or an accident? Well, I think it is an accident. Right, we wouldn't get anywhere without settling that. Next, I should consider the location. The red dirt on her shoes, I can deduce it from there. Where did Yuzuriya Yatsushiro get injured? At the gazebo, on the first path to the lamps, in a greenhouse, or by the cherry trees? It's not by the cherry trees. And finally, the meaning of the word she spoke. Sakura, what does it mean? She got injured, she left a clue. Sakura is not the name, but Sakura is code for a different wood.
手がかりが見つかったの？
I sure fucking did.
ん？どれ？はあ？ただのサッカー雑誌じゃんか。もしかしてバイシクルシュート失敗して頭を打ったとか言うんじゃないだろうな。それだわって顔されてもな。こっちはこっちでなんか集中しているし。
I can hear the exchange, but it does not register. The feeling of impatience of something on the tip of my tongue.
いちごさんと話していた時、サッカー談義で何を話していたっけ？え？ああ、確かいちごさんがクラスみんなを集めてやってみようって。は？なんだ？クラス内でいじめ発生ですか？
邪かさないの。
そうじゃなくて、他に何か。
I press her impatiently, and Nika says there was something about a horse. The moment she says it, the lid on my memories is flung wide open.
そうだ、専門用語だわ。サッカーのプレー中に接触プレーで内ももに蹴りが入ってしまうことをももカンだって話していた。そうだわ。確かその後飲食店であの虫が出た時5番入りましたって言うのよとか話したわ。なんだそりゃ。トリビアを思い出せなかったってだけか。
Erika, give me a minute. That's dumb. Yagaki says as she puts her hand behind her head and turns to look out the window.
そう、喉から出てこなかった言葉。そして
The knowledge of gardening my grandfather taught me before. I put the fall magazine back where it was and like Yaigaki gazed at the window in the direction of the row of cherry trees.
八代先輩が言った言葉の謎が分かったわ。え？本当に？ええ。あとは靴に残った土の謎だけ。それが分かれば襲った犯人も分かる。
My Amichie partners let out a gasp of surprise, and then I asked him to help me in the final step. Together we set out to solve the mystery of the red dirt. Okay, I said next scene change, but I do want to know the truth now. After class. We haven't had a tea party in a while, and the entire class is there, including Erika Yaigaki, who barely ever joins.
お待たせしました。
A clear voice calls out to us.
お茶会に招いていただいて嬉しいわ。
Perhaps she doesn't understand the objective of this tea party, but the tension in the air eases as Sister Basquiat clasps her hands before a chest in greeting. Everyone bows their heads back in greeting, then
全員集まったようね。久しぶりのお茶会だけど、今日はこれから。
私たちの出し物に付き合ってもらう。
Mayuri, who remained hidden until now, appears and noise returns to the silent scene.
出し物というのは
Oh!
私が出てきたことで察してくれたとは思いますが、八代ゆずりは先輩の件ですよ。殴打した犯人が私だと目されている事件です。
The chattering grows louder and Sister Basquiat folds her arms in front of her chest as though holding her abandoned bosom.
そんなこと誰も思ってはいません。
Yes, they do.
ありがとうございます。でもそれはダリア先生だけですよ。
I still don't understand why her name, whenever people talk about her, is written Dahlia, but in her own text box it's Dahlia with an H.
ここにいるみんなは私を犯人だと思っている。
Who the heck does Dahlia go? Why does she have the drip? That's our teacher,
半々
actually.
くらいの割合でかな。
That's our homeroom teacher. Mayuri speaks lightheartedly and our classmates regard her suspiciously, while Sister Dahlia looks at her with pity.
ともか
She's
く
a
この
nun,
まま
yeah.
誤解を受け続けるのはアミティエとして許せるものではありません。
This is just her outfit when she's not wearing the habit. She a romance option, not in this game. I mean, what?
だからこの場で釈明の機会をいただきたいのです。釈明だなんて私は疑ってなどいませんし。
Well, that's very nice of you to say. Sister Basquiat's lost voice is drowned out by an optimistic voice saying, why not?
面白そうだし、お茶会の余興だと思って聞くのもありなんじゃない？そうそう、出し物だって言っているし。
Now that the Sasakis have agreed to it, the eyes of everyone in the class turn from suspicious to interested. There isn't much in the way of entertainment at the academy. Perhaps they feel there's no harm in listening. After receiving Sister Basquiat's grudging assent, I step forward to take center stage. With all eyes on me, I summon up my courage and start to speak.
そもそもなぜまゆりさんが疑われることになったのか、そこからこの事件を紐解いてみましょう。
I tell everyone. The day of the incident, Yasuhira Yatsushiro was discovered collapsed before the entrance. Oh! The wound on her had the sports towel pressed against her wound, and the shoes covered in red clay in the nurse's office. Then the word she said, Sakura, how the students to Sakura and the names were interrogated. But since they all had alibis, the next guess was the place, and everyone's attention shifted to the place with the cherry trees. Then the time frame during which Yuzuriha Yatsushiro was attacked. I explained the sequence of events that led to Mayuri, who'd been cleaning up around the cherry trees between 5 and 6, coming under suspicion.
悪いんだけど、今の話を聞いたら、ユリが怪しいって思うのは
There is actually
普通なん
blood
じゃな
there,
いか
yeah.
な。
That's pretty surprising. Many people agree with Ichiko's assessment of my story so far, and the scrutinizing gazes become even sharper. However,
そうかしら。私は今の話を聞いたとき、そもそも八代先輩が
so how would she have gotten from the like if she was actually hit out by the cherry trees, how would she have staggered all the way to the entrance only to collapse there?
先輩が持っていたスポーツタオルに不審を抱いたわ。だってそんなものを持って桜並木に行っても仕方ないでしょ。それは確かにそう。
A sprinkling of people agree with Ringo. However, Ichigo raises her voice and claps her hands.
そういえば先輩はサッカーにハマっていたって聞いてるよ。だから邪魔されないように桜並木の場所で練習していたんじゃないかな。それだったらスポーツタオルを持っていたっておかしくないよね。
And Ichigo's voice has set down the cup I'd been taking a sip from. When Ichigo, who is coming down from her excitement, sees Rika's expression, she mutters an apology.
確かに八代先輩がサッカーに興味を持っていたというのは本当です。その情報は私も知っていた。以前いちごさんから聞いたことですから。
One of the twins did it. It's always one of the twins, isn't it?
そうなの？そ そういえば話した記憶が。以前いちごさんから話してきたんですよ。みんなで今度やってみようって。
Hey.
その話の中で桃缶という専門
They're
用語
not
の
that
話が出
bad.
て。確かに言ったね。サッカーの用語で
接触プレイした時に内ももを蹴ってしまうことだって言っていたわ。
Yeah, that's it, Hutsuchigo. From this jargon, I arrived at a theory. I say to Sister Basquiat, who's furrowing her brows.
見解。私は八代先輩が言った桜がという言葉を聞いて、
それはわからないわ。
推理小説でないのだから、普通誰かに殴られたのだとしたら、見知っていた人物の場合、
They would.
その犯人の名前を言いますよね。わからなかった場合として、犯人の目立つ容姿の特徴、もしくは場所の名前を言うかもしれない。
だから桜並木なのでしょ。
I shake my head and tell her she's wrong. Not only Sister Basquiat, but the entire class is looking at me. I push back the feelings rising within me.
犯人の名前を言えなかった八代先輩が言ったのは場所。これは正しい。でも、事件現場となったのは桜並木の場所ではなかったんです。
その場所って。
温室です。
I say decisively and she blinks at me in confusion. My classmates do the same. Sister Basquiat looks shaken. I tell her about the theory I formed from what I saw in Yatsushiro's room.
以前バスキア教諭へ話したことがありましたが、私は祖父が園芸が好きでよく手伝わされていたんです。
ええ、以前伺ったことがあるわ。温室での鉢植えを手伝ってもらったことがありますものね。
What has that got to do with anything? I know she's about to ask. But in order to convince her, I must have her listen a little more to my talk of gardening.
バスキア教諭と同じ花の名前、ダリアをご存知ですよね。先生手ずから選定している。
ええ。
別に責めているとかじゃないんです。ただ、バスキア教諭に聞きたいことがありまして。先生はダリアの花の品評会には行かれたことがありますか？
Sister Basquiat makes a face as though she's about to cry and shakes her head a little. I know about them from magazines, she says.
ダリアという花は変異を起こしやすい植物のため、
Why are we learning about plants
園芸品種の中で
suddenly?
も突出した品種数を誇り、3万品種以上もあるそうです。だから一般の方が新しくできた品種に被らないよう名前をつけるため、変わった名前が多いそうですね。
Mm-hmm.
ええ、そのことですか。そうですね。私も新しい品種を作りたくて育てているんですよ。
Sister Basquiat's expression transforms into a smile, and the rest of the class seems somewhat relieved too. I turn to my classmates to address them.
アルペンヘイゼル。
So much drama and information.
この
Yeah.
辺りは普通の品種
I
名
was like,
で
these
すが、
sure are things I would have never learned about on my own, but I'll take it.
変わり種で言いますと、かぐや姫、赤とんぼ、クライスラーなどのお遊びでつけたような品種名もあります。
A wave of giggles ripples through the class. I turn to Sister Basquiat once again to get to the main point.
さらに混乱させるような名前、ダリアという花でありながら他の花の名前をつけているものもあるのです。例えばダリアでありながらコスモスや赤バラなど。
もしかして白羽さん。
そうです。ダリアの品種では他の花の名前も存在する。品種名で桜吹雪、桜満月、桜女王。
Yes, and the dahlias that Sister Basquiat is growing.
桜狩り。
Oh. She murmurs and I exhale. I turn to face the students who still haven't caught on.
そう、八代先輩が言った桜がとの
I
言葉
have
は
to say again though,
温室にある
I
ダリア
have
の
no idea how the game expects you to actually get to these get this. To choose the correct options. Like, I feel like it's just a, you just try and see what you arrive at, if it's a good end or not, because how the hell are you supposed to, you do not know the name of those dahlias. You only get the whole, oh yeah, well, your teacher is growing some dahlias. Okay. And
桜狩りの前で事件は起きたというセリフだったのです。だから事件の起きた場所は桜並木ではなく、温室のダリアの花々の前。
The ripples of chatter get louder, growing into a clamor. My MT partners beside me are also staring at me in surprise.
忙しくて話す機会がなかったものね。
I'm so grateful that, despite that, they believed in me and created this opportunity for me to reveal everything.
そう。
Just need to work in a flower shop, you know?
それじゃあスポーツタオルも。ええ、おそらく温室での作業中に汗をかいてしまうからスポーツタオルを持参していたの。頭を怪我した時、ちょうどよく持ってきてたそれで頭を押さえていたのよ。靴についていた赤土は？これも園芸の知識で、赤土はいいリンゴが育つと祖父から聞いていたの。リンゴの木のそばにはダリアの花壇があったよね。
I nod and smile at Dingo, who is suppressing a giggle at the idea of growing herself on trees. Sister Basquiat stares dumbfounded as I continue.
おそらく事件当日の八代先輩の行動は、温室での作業中、リンゴの木の剪定中に足を滑らせ、ダリアの花壇を区切るレンガに頭を打ちつけてしまった。これが傷跡の角材のようなもので横投げに殴られた正体です。出血を認め保健室へ向かう際に思ったよりも大量の出血だったため、ふらつきエントランス前で倒れ込んでしまった。桜狩りの品種名を言ったのは、助けた上級生が園芸部の生徒だったからです。他にもダリアの別の品種が別の場所の花壇に植えられていますからね。しかし全て言う前に気を失ってしまった。もしくはよく聞き取れていなかったか。
At this explanation of the series of events, Sister Basquiat finally regains her composure, and after a moment of contemplation, she murmurs that's strange.
頭を怪我して、なぜ桜狩りの名前を挙げたの？白羽さんの話が事実なら、犯人の名前を挙げる必要もないけど、場所を言う必要もないでしょ？保健室へ連れて行ってでいいわけよね。
The subtle essential difference between Dahlia and Dahlia. The story seems to be lacking in logic, and a suspicion is back in my classmates' eyes. I see Dick and Mayuri looking at me anxiously.
桜狩りの名前を挙げたのには理由がちゃんとあるの。
I continue.
まず誰にも助けを呼ばず保健室へ向かっていたことから、八代先輩はこの怪我を大したことはないものと思っていた。それはいい？
Dingo nods.
この温室での作業だけれど、17時から18時までの間に起きたとされているけど、調べた当日の放課後、八代先輩は料理部へ顔を出しているの。そして慌てた様子で部を後にした。そうだったんだ。あの日はクラスの出し物を手伝っていたから知らなかったよ。この話で重要なのは、料理部から後、寮に戻らず急いで温室へ向かったということなの。スポーツタオルを用意していたことから、直接行こうとは初めから思っていたみたいだけど、寮に戻らず直接温室へ向かったのだとしたら、八代先輩は何を手に持っていたかしら。
A school bag. Yes, the thing I couldn't find when we searched her room was suspicious in its absence. I found it strange that it wasn't there. The thing she'd taken with her directly from the cooking club to the greenhouse was... Here's where you make a save if you want to get a bad ending. A bag.
カバン！
The twins say in unison. I nod and call to the girl who has been keeping her silence.
お願い、八重垣さん。
Yaigaki brings her squeaky wheelchair to a stop in front of Sister Basquiat and offers her the school satchel from atop her knees.
これが温室に置いてあった八代譲り派のカバンだ。
つまり自分の私物が温室の桜狩りの前にあるから取ってきてほしいと言おうとしたの？
はい。
つまり事故。
Yes. I repeat, and Sister Basquiat lets out an uncharacteristically huge sigh.
こんなことって。
That is a lot, actually. At first, her expression is filled with worry and regret, but at last she breaks into a smile and murmurs, "Thank goodness."
高坂さん。
はい。
あなたの無実は証明されました。主はあなたをお見捨てにならなかったのです。
The Lord had not forsaken you. The corners of Mayuri's mouth twisted the religious phrasing, but she nods. Sister Basquiat tells the rest of the class that it is as they've heard.
アミティエである彼女たちが高坂さんの疑いを晴らしました。これから
Okay.
も高坂さんはクラスみんなの良き友です。
Yes, they say in harmony. Oh, sorry. I can see the joy bursting from Nika and Mayuri as they break into smiles.
高坂さん、
はい。
無実がなされたのは主の導きのおかげですが、あなたは本当に良き友人に恵まれましたね。これほど人を、あなたを思いやって
Aww.
救いの手を差し伸べてくれる
Why
友
are you
人は
blushing?
他にはいませんよ。
はい。
She replies passionately then. Mayuri wraps her arms tightly around me, and for a moment I have no idea what's going on.
ありがとう、スオさん。本当に嬉しいよ。
Hehe. Her body's as warm as a sunny spring day. I know Nika is looking on sadly, but I cannot pull myself away from her warmth. Oh. God damn it, game. It's finally over, I whisper, looking out the window at the night sky. The truth of what really happened to Yatsushiro was revealed at the tea party. It turned out to be much ado about nothing, but the suspicion about me was cleared up with the revelation of the truth. Thanks to everyone, but mainly Ichigo spreading the word to the upperclassmen, everyone knew about it by lunchtime. After dinner, the upperclassmen who doubted me the most came and apologized. Sister Dahlia even talked to the faculty for me. All of this, every bit of
スオ
it.
さんのおかげだ。
It sure is. Suo-san. I whisper the name once again in my heart. I see her and Rika floating in the darkness outside the window and remember their story. What story? What are you on about? After the curtain came down in the tea party, I followed my amitié partners who had quietly slipped away and watched as the two of them headed down the path towards the dorms. I was so happy that the suspicions had been lifted that they worked so hard for me that I was about to call out to them. But something heartbreaking was about to happen. That's all I knew. It was plain to see from the expressions on their faces.
がある。スオさん。
Minding the sound of my footsteps, I drew closer to my amitié partner, whose voice was difficult to hear and whose expression suggested she was holding back
仕方
pain.
ないわ。
I heard Sue whisper as she smiled
私
sadly.
自身、自分の抱えた傷を受け入れられないのだもの。
She's in the same circumstances. It was selfish
自
of
分
me.
から交際を申し込んでおいて、勝手よね。当然よ。私はリカを騙していたの。
Oh, they're talking.
だ
It's
か
a
ら
little hard to tell
何も気を
when
病む
someone is
必要なん
talking.
てないわ。
Yes, that's
ご
what
め
I
んなさ
thought.
い。
Breakup.
いいの。私も交際をやめたいと言おうとしていたのだもの。
I was confused by these unexpected
強制
words.
させたのは私だものね。自分からでも昨夜の告白の後すぐに受け入れると言葉にできなかった。スオはマユリさんに告げることができたのにね。
The relationship was forced. What did she mean by that? I wondered in confusion. It wasn't what they both wanted. It's in the past, Sue said, and Dika whispered, right. She looked down and silence fell between them, but when she looked up, her expression was cheerful.
ねえ、私たちまた友人に戻れるかしら。も
Sure.
ちろんよ。
Sue said with a teary smile. Ooh.
二人の言葉の意味は全てはわからないけれど、
But I didn't understand that Rika and Sue had broken up. When I realized they'd broken up, the sense of loss I felt was beaten by a
喜
feeling of
んだ
joy.
のは何に？誰に対して？
Was it for Rika who reminds me of that person, or could it have been for Sue-san? Thinking about it now, she's helped me not just today, but so many times before. The time during orienteering. You're really going to give me a flashback now? She used her wits to come find me with my sprained leg. When I was under suspicion, she never abandoned me. I thought it was because we were métier partners. She practiced ballet together with me even though I was terrible at it. She walked through everything with me, every time. When I think of Sue and her ephemeral, Jesus Christ, smile, it's different from how I feel toward Dika, and different from how I felt toward her. The feeling I feel toward Sue must be... As the cool night air seeps in through the window, I see myself reflected blurrily in a condensation on the window pane. The face reflected in the window.
自分の気持ちに気づくなんて。
Yeah, took you a while. I smile faintly at my own childlike, vulnerable face exposed in the window's reflection. I decide to put an end to this for now and head off slowly to my room. Yeah, actually, you know what? That is a good point. Because this is starting up another bigger story arc that I do not have the time for right now. So we're gonna use this. We've cleared Mayuri of her suspicions, and now we know that Mayuri is realizing that she might be in love with Suo. Maybe. Who knows? I don't. Everything could be happening. What do you mean a bigger story arc? Ha 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 ha. Wouldn't you like to know, brother boy? Wouldn't you like to know? We're still not done with this game. I think we can very easily fill another complete stream. There's quite a bunch left in there actually. Thank you for stream though. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you. Oh, we'll be seeing each other again on Friday for more atelier. Probably. I'm hoping. As it is with the atelier games, I'm never quite sure, but I'm hoping we might actually be able to finish it up on Friday. Like we are in the final arc, right? If I actually manage to read up on like how to make good equipment and stuff, and then we can go out and like we still need to do some more stuff in there for sure to get all of our events, and then but we are on the way to the end boss, so I'm hoping maybe we can finish off Atelier on Friday, and Saturday is gonna be a long Persona stream again. Actually, also, once we finish Atelier, I'm not gonna get started with a completely new Friday project before the end of the year. Thank you for the pad. We're actually gonna make a Persona double feature. I haven't done the same game for Friday and Saturday in a long time. Because that can be very exhausting, but I feel like thank you for the pad. I feel like for Persona 5, that's gonna be a little easier on both me and you guys. So it's not always just, oh my god, 10+ hour streams, but we just do 2 streams over the week. Thank you for all the pads! 2 streams over the weekend. But yeah, that is going to be it for tonight. I also can't wait for more German. I'm gonna send you guys over to a friend now. To finally give back on some raids. So you stream from Friday to Sunday in one go. That is not what I meant. I was hoping to make it like we do Friday for like, I don't know, 5 hours, maybe 7 hours, depending on how long I can stay awake for, and then we can do a comfortable also long stream on Saturday. But just so I can really make it through the game, you know? yeah, that is going to be it for tonight. Let me give you the right message. Here you go. Tax is playing Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, and I know nothing about that game, but I know you can have a dog apparently, so that's fun. I'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much for coming tonight.
Good night. And bye bye. Bye bye bye.